You're listening to the N.W.A, the Nubian Wrestling Advocates.
You are now about to witness the strength of street knowledge.
Yo, it's Righteous Reg. It's a case for the safe, keep a space for the Nubians. Unfiltered, off-kilter, the professor, the godfather, host wrestling the N.W.A, not keep guessing, The views and expressions, you know the rest, it's pod excellence, get the message. Advocates for Nubian wrestling, you're listening to the best again. Black wrestling in the ring we invested in. Nubian kings and queens we invested in. It's for the culture and we reppin' it. It's for the culture and we reppin' it.
And welcome to the N.W.A Podcast, the Nubian Wrestling Advocates, the show all about getting color in the professional wrestling business. We are back and better than ever here on Post Wrestling for the July edition of the N.W.A Podcast. We are so glad that everybody has joined us tonight, whether you're watching live or in the future. Let's not just discriminate to the people that's watching us live tonight. Shout out to everybody listening in the future. We got a big episode of the program this month, and so let's not waste any time. Let's not dilly-dally on what we got to do. So let's start off by introducing the advocates. First of all, you got myself. I am the Godfather, Nate Milton, a.k.a. your favorite podcaster's favorite podcaster. 10 years in the game, ain't a damn thing changed. And I am joined by my partner in crime, my brother. He is a man of many talents. Let's just say that off the top, ladies and gentlemen. This man is not only the mayor pro tem of Los Angeles, California. Shout out to the brother for what he's doing right now, trying to end this strike. We stand in solidarity with the writers and the actors. Pay what you owe, Hollywood. Pay what you owe. But this is a brother that has never been on strike. He takes no days off. Even when he on PTO, this brother's still putting in work. Y'all give it up for the angry intellectual, for a brother that some people call Mimosa Kris. He's one half of the Kings of Sport podcast. And of course, he is our friend and our brother. Y'all give it up for the Professor Kris Ealy. Can we rock? What's up, Doc?
Hey, what's up, y'all? Just chilling, man. Ready to talk about this month's wrestling stuff. So let's get it popping. Okay. Mm-hmm.
How you been, Kris? How you been? It feels like we talk all the time off air, but It feels like we haven't talked on mic in a little minute.
Oh yeah, I'm feeling good. I'm moving on up in the academia world. I'm about like the ink. I haven't signed the contract yet, but I did get an offer to start teaching at Cal State Fullerton. So that's a big deal for me. I'm looking forward to that. And then I finally have a book publisher for my book. I've been pitching for a while to different publishers, and I got offered some advances, and these were like, some of them were a couple 6-figure advances.
Ooh, okay.
But my wife,
yes.
She was the
COO.
She taught me how to go in that route. She said, look, because we're still newlyweds. We're not like we're both established in our careers, right? But she said that she made a good argument saying, like, if we accept an advance for your book and we don't sell enough books to pay it back, it could be an issue. And it's not like she doesn't have faith in me. We just don't want to be taking those kind of gambles. So
right.
I'm going the independent route, Icon Global Publishing.
Okay.
And we're already kind of getting the ball rolling. So I'm paying a little bit of money out of pocket. But once the book goes on sale, I don't have to worry about paying a publisher back.
Right.
And then so it's I'm very, very excited about that, because it seems like forever I've been talking to you about a book, like maybe since 2016 or 17.
A little minute.
And it's finally about to like be a reality. So and I'm looking for like a day. It might be before this, but sometime next year. By around this time next year, it should be ready to publish.
Okay.
And just trying to make it timely, so it's like new. I don't want it to be a dated book, you know.
Right. By the time it comes out.
Yeah. So that's a process. And I'm excited about both of those things.
Okay, this good brother Kris Ealy out here getting ready to drop the hottest book of the summer in 2024. Y'all get ready. But yeah, we are proud of you, Kris, man. We know you're gonna do big things, and I'm glad your lovely wife was able to kind of see the bigger view, Kris, because we don't want you out here like PLC, man. Taking all that taking all that advance money from Pebbles, and then you ain't got nothing to show for it, brother.
Right, yeah. And that was like one of the things that I thought of when she mentioned that too, was the story of TLC and all that. So I mean, that's the reason, that's one of the reasons and benefits why you get married, right? Because of,
you got somebody you can talk to, somebody that's in your corner. Yeah.
She could have easily been like, oh yeah, let's take that money,
get that bag,
and then not have any kind of strategy to pay it back if we don't sell anything,
So y'all be on the lookout, man, because best believe we are going to promote Kris's book when it drops. Whenever it drops, we're gonna show that brother some love. But speaking of somebody you can count on, Kris, somebody that you can depend on, this brother, we glad to have him back. He put in for his PTO last month, so contractually the post office had to get his brother some time off. He was on the beach somewhere with the feet kicked up. He was in Cancun with LeBron and them. So we ain't mad at the young brother, but he is back, ladies and gentlemen. The man that gives you all the news that's fit to read here on Post Wrestling. The man that is the proprietor of Andrew Thompson interviews on YouTube. Be sure to check that out. But most importantly, much like Kris, he is our brother and our friend, the youngest in charge, my nephew, Andrew Thompson. What's good, Andrew?
He told me I was in Cancun. the last podcast, man, it was Father's Day, man. So I was hanging with Pops. We was at a cookout and stuff like that. I had a good time, man, hanging with my dad, man. So I had to take that day, man. I couldn't miss out on Father's. I try not to ever miss out on Father's Day, man. I always like to kick with Pops whenever I can. So yeah, that was a good time, and I'm glad y'all brothers had a good show. Glad to be back. Glad to see y'all again, man. And I'm ready to talk some graps as always. But Nate, I heard through the grapevine, Nate and Kris, I heard through the grapevine, I think we got somebody joining us. I heard that through a report. I don't know if it's confirmed though.
How many sources you got on that, Andrew?
I think I got about 1-2 sources on it, man. I done heard some stuff. I don't know if it's true, Nate. I don't know if it's true.
Well, let's see. Let's see who is the mystery man. Is this story true? Andrew, you are correct. In fact, we do have a guest joining the program this week. And this brother, he might be a new face to the postmarks out there who are watching and listening to this edition of the program. But he is no stranger to listeners of the Kings of Sport podcast, as he is, that's how quick this brother is. He's jumping from side to side. He's so happy to be here, y'all. That joke only makes sense if y'all are watching the video version.
Yeah, the video version. The people listen to the podcast are like, fuck you.
Yeah, I know people listen to the podcast like, what the hell is he talking about? But this brother, he stepped up when Kris became the official co-host of the Kings of Sport, Andrew, and he has joined us. And basically, he's a everyman. Like he is a co-host, kind of, sorta. He's Swiss a producer, kind of, sorta. You know, he that Swiss Army knife. He like a Swiss chocolate Army knife. That's what this brother brings to the table. But yeah, this is a good dude. He's been following the Kings of Sport for a little minute. And he reached out to Kris and I, and we had a conversation with him and brought him on a couple shows. And so far, man, the people seem to be digging what he's bringing to the table. And, you know, just to tease something that might not happen for a few months, but we got something special in the works with Ray and some people that you might have heard here on Post Wrestling, particularly here on the NWA podcast for the Kings of Sport podcast feed. But that's another story for another day. But this brother's joining us to talk all things wrestling tonight, because in addition to being a big sports fan, he is a big wrestling aficionado. So it is my pleasure to introduce to the post-wrestling audience, Raymondo Williams, a.k.a. Ray the Rookie, a.k.a. Sugar Ray, a.k.a. 10-Day Ray.
Hey, what's going on, gentlemen? It's always a pleasure to get to talk to you guys, but especially just this being my first time. It's a bucket list to be able to go ahead and talk with all the folks on the Post Wrestling Network. I've been following for a long time, even when it was known as another name in another company. We won't get into that. But
I don't think by law we can talk about that.
What you did there. But it's always a pleasure to get to talk to you, Nate and Kris, and I'm glad to finally get a chance to chop it up with Andrew as well. I've been seeing he's been doing great things with Post Wrestling for the last few years, so I'm just honored and privileged once again to be on with you guys, and especially to be on Post Wrestling.
We're glad to have you, Ray. Yes, always good to chop it up with you, brother. But Andrew, I feel like now that we got all the players in place, let's talk about what we're here to talk about this month. We got a couple big stories, but of course you are the resident journalist here. You the newsman, so we gonna pass the baton to you, brother, and let you introduce our first story of the month.
All right, so this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna start off with the good stuff first, and then we're gonna track it. I feel like that's the theme here at NWA. Like we always start off, saying with the good news,
right.
Here come from a couple black brothers, couple black sisters that did some amazing things in the business. Then, like as we track down, it's always some foolishness. it never fails. But we're gonna start off with this one. For those of you who are going to see the graphic for this show, at Impact Slammiversary pay-per-view recently, Lio Rush became the Impact X Division champion, and Trinity Fatu became the Impact Knockouts World Champion. Trinity defeated Deonna Purrazzo at Slammiversary. I saw the match. It was a real solid match. I think this was Trinity's first singles title victory, I think, since she won the SmackDown Women's Championship. I think that was back in like 2017, I believe that was.
Yeah.
We talked about this months ago right here on the podcast about the prospect of Trinity versus Deonna Purrazzo at Slammiversary when Trinity first put out her schedule, like when she laid out like how long she was going to be in Impact, and we were sort of talking about like whether, because at the time the dates that she had listed was just it stopped after the post Slammiversary taping, so the natural assumption was like maybe she probably wrap up after that, but I don't think that's the case now because she's now Knockouts World Champion. But Nate, I wanted to kick it over to you first, man. What did you think about Trinity Fatu becoming the Knockouts World Champion? Because we talk about Lio Rush as well, and also a common theme of some on this show, man. Guess who was backstage for Trinity's big moment? Mercedes Moné and Tamina were both present.
Oh yeah, we got to give it to him. And so let me let the audience in on a little secret, behind the curtains, Andrew. And maybe this is something, for you and Ray and Kris that y'all might not have peeped when we do these programs. Everything might seem like, hey, we just come together, we talk, about what we want to talk about, express our feelings, but there's an intentionality behind pretty much everything on the NWA podcast, even down to the wardrobe, brothers. And so let me show y'all what I'm wearing this evening for the program. I had to run it back one time for the people out there. And I mentioned on Twitter before, like maybe about an hour ago or so, man. Like, you can take me out of Impact Wrestling in terms of being an everyday viewer, Andrew. But you can't take that Impact out my heart, brother. Like you could, like I know Kris ain't a medical doctor, you know, he's a doctor of education and whatnot. But you could put a stethoscope on his heart, Kris, and you ain't gonna hear no regular heartbeat rhythm. You gonna hear TNA. TNA, because that's where I come from, Kris. That's where I come from, right? So the thing with TNA, and I think we talked about this a couple episodes ago, Andrew. So probably back in April or May, in that Impact Wrestling, despite its kind of reputation that has been, you know, earned in a lot of cases over the years, has been pretty solid for at least the last 5 years.
2018,
yeah, at least the last 5 years. And so when you got people that are thinking about like, oh, this is TNA, like we ain't messing with that. Oh, this is Impact, same old Impact. We ain't messing with that. I think the way I look at Impact now is Impact back in the day was like this big singer that, like, you know, played Chicago and LA and Boston and you know, Manhattan and all the top spots, you know what I'm saying? And they, whether it was a drug issue or contract issues, they flamed out. And now, you know, let's say 15, 20 years later, they the hottest singer in the Pacific Northwest, in Portland and in Seattle and Montana. But that's about as far as their audience can go because of the mistakes that were made in the past. And so that's kind of where Impact is, Andrew. I feel like this current group, right, whether you're talking about backstage or the performers in ring, have done nothing to warrant like people giving them the side eye or people not giving them credit. But because of the mistakes of the past, you don't get a lot of love for Impact, and it's a shame because they've been doing some damn good work for the past 5 years. So bringing it to what happened at Slammiversary, man, like not only did we see Trinity, not only did we see our guy Lio, we also saw Kenny King in the building. So it was Melanin Mania was running wild, ladies and gentlemen, and I was here for it. We talked about Trinity when she came in. Like, she is somebody who, just by virtue of who she is, when she walked into that company, she was already one of their top stars. And so I think the only thing that surprised me here, Andrew, was, like you said, we thought, you know, she was going to dip out for a minute, you know, maybe come back. But it looks like she's here for the long haul, at least for the foreseeable future. And I'm here for it, man. I think it's a good fit for her. It allows her to kind of spread her wings outside of that WWE structure. And people are seeing the kind of talent that she possesses. With our guy Lio, man, and I know there's gonna be some people, not the postmarks, because the postmarks got better sense than that. There's gonna be some people that listen to this episode, you know, a couple days from now. And they're like, oh, isn't he just gonna quit again? And then look here, miss me with that bullshit. You're not a gang member, you're a tourist, because this brother, you know, is somebody, man. And we talked about when he came to AEW, Andrew, when he was, what was he, LBO Lio?
LBO Lio, yeah.
Yeah, like this is the dude I think that you can, if you put him in the right position, yeah, he ain't the biggest dude in the world, Andrew, but the boy can wrestle, the boy can talk. Like, the brother's bad. And I think if he to me feels like an artist, you know what I mean? That needs to feel like the people he is working with have his back as much as he has theirs. And maybe that's why some situations haven't worked out for the best in the past. But
That's
I think
a good point.
You can make a lot of money with a dude like Lio Rush, and in a company like Impact that is not so obsessed with size. Like, I could easily see Lio being a world champion if he decides to stay here. I thought the moves was great, Andrew, and yeah, like I'm Impact. Impact been good, man. If y'all haven't checked out Impact, give it a try because they are doing some good work down there.
I said they actually teased that on the most recent episode of Impact, like, as you know, when you got the X Division title, you
Option
can cash
C.
in for the Option C. He teased that, and also real quick, just on Lio Rush, real quick, want to definitely send hope that brother doing well, because he was wrestling at Maryland Championship Wrestling, I believe, yesterday, and he was in the Shamrock Cup, and I saw a tweet that he had injured his shoulder, and then that's the same shoulder that he had the surgery on that put him out for a while. So, and it's nothing to fit, like I'm talking about as far as like a further update as we're talking right now, but hopefully it's nothing, you know, too, you know, catastrophic or anything like that. It's just a little minor little ding up, and you know, he'll be back and whatever like that. But yeah, hopefully Lio Rush doing good. But I actually want to kick it over to our guest Ray, and then we kick it over to Kris. But Ray, what did you think about Trinity becoming the Knockouts World Champion? And what do you think about Lio Rush becoming the X Division champion? And sort of what do you see as far as the ceiling for those two individuals, along with Kenny King as well? What do you see the ceiling as far as like where they can take those respective championships?
Well, congrats to both Lio and Trinity. And I know you've mentioned this before on these very podcasts, Nate, but where are the people who are saying now, oh, Trinity, she's just getting dragged by Mercedes. It's like, we don't know. She can't control herself. She's just going along with her friend. But now look at where she is now. It's like, look where she is now. And a lot of it has been going, and a lot of spotlight, rightfully so, has been going to Mercedes with all the stuff that she's been doing with New Japan and with that women's promotion over there in Japan as well. And of course, with the Mandalorian and the stuff that she's been doing in the mainstream as well. But just trust that people know exactly what they're going to do once things happen. It's just like Trinity, she found a way and she took some time off and is glad to see that things are paying off. And especially within that women's division, especially within Impact, who, quiet as it's kept, although, yes, it has been growing up in popularity, but thinking of all the champions that have been getting hurt and think of all the people that have been dropping off, whether it be with Josh Alexander or whether it be with a Mickie James, who opened up the door for the championship to be open. So, and I think Diana Purrazzo, she beat Diana Purrazzo. That's a great division. That Knockouts division.
Knockouts division been legit for a minute.
Yeah.
A long while, especially with the folks, Purrazzo, as I mentioned, and Jordan Grace, of course, Masha Slamovich. And it's nice to see that she's getting her due now. And now people can see, because I know when she was in WWE, a lot of people were like, well, she's flashy, but can she really be an athlete that can carry the division or that can carry a match and that can really lift up a division? Now we get a chance to see that. As far as Lio Rush is concerned, always proud for that brother. He's been going all over, especially with him just coming off the Super Juniors in New Japan, and now he's getting an opportunity, albeit it was like 1 minute that he beat him in, but he still was able to cash in on that opportunity. And hopefully, like Andrew said, it's not a really serious injury that he sustained last night. And shout out to Maryland Championship Wrestling. They're really doing awesome ththings over there. Shout out to Dr. Dion as well. He's good folks as well. He's great promoter
Dr.
of Black
D's my
wrestling.
boy,
He's doing great stuff out there. But yeah, like I've really, especially with all that stuff that happened with Lio and WWE, as far as Mark Henry and throwing him under the bus, it's like, and as far as him being vulnerable and coming out with and I think he spoke with you as well about this, Andrew, about the mental health issues that he's been going through, like pretty much for a long while. And so for him to be able to come on a bigger stage with TNA or with Impact Wrestling and be able to win this championship, hopefully again, all is well, the shoulder will heal, it's not that serious, and that he can really, just like Trinity, show why he's one of the best. I don't want to limit him to being one of the best cruiserweights or one of the best high flyers, because I think, especially with his personality, if they just let that personality shine through, and he could be, especially, I think he can, and I know Chris Bay, who's a terrific wrestler in his own right, I think Lio has, I think he has that charisma in spades, just like Chris Bay, or even more so. So I think that if you could just shoot the rocket on him, he can climb up to the top.
Yeah, and real quick, I want to mention T. Anthony in the comment section was disappointed that he didn't get the Motor City Machine Guns with Saban using Option C on Shelly, but he does.
I ain't gonna lie, I kind of wanted to see it, but like I get it though, because I think Motor City, they such an established fixture within Impact. Like you don't want to start dibbling and dabbling around with that, because like once you do the turn and then like you got to bring it together, ain't nobody got time.
That'd be like Kofi turning on Big E, like we ain't here for that, dog.
It's no point. It's no point.
But real quick, Andrew, speaking of comments, if y'all do want to get your comments read, we will be checking the comments as the show goes on. But the way to jump the line, the way to get to the front of the line, is to hit that super chat button, smash that super chat button. Let us know that you want to get your thoughts heard in this conversation, and we will get to them. Also, real quick, as a point of clarification, Ray, I didn't mean to do this in front of you, do this to you in front of everybody, but you didn't bring me and Kris water bottles on the last edition of the Kings of Sports, so there's going to be consequences and repercussions, young brother. You got to respect the OGs in the locker room, player.
I'm about to say, just doing real quick on Lio Rush, man. Like, I honestly, like, I think with Lio, like, without knowing him personally, I think that at heart he's a journeyman. Like, he's one of those people that like to go like a variety of different places, and he knows he can fit anywhere. And like, albeit sometimes in these companies, there's been like situations where it's unfortunately come to an end. But I feel like at heart, that's like how Lio kind of is, because he's like, he goes in a variety of different companies.
It's about the experiences,
and he sort of like finds his way, and he's able to like craft his own and like sort of corner his own spot. You know what I'm saying? And make it work. And then for Lio, for him to be 28 years old and a vet,
that's the craziest thing, Andrew. This dude been around for a minute, and he's still not even 30 yet.
Yeah, he took 28 years old, and to be a veteran, to be in Ring of Honor, then AEW, WWE, Impact Wrestling, PWG, Japan. Like, the dude has literally been everywhere at the age of 28 years old. And most wrestlers, bro, they don't even really hit their prime until they like 35, 36. Like, there's wrestlers who, like, they get it way earlier than that, of course. But I'm talking about some wrestlers, they just hit that like sort of next gear, like when they sort of in their mid 30s and stuff like that. And to see when the
mental catches up to the physical.
That's a great point right there. But like when Lio, like, I'm just saying him now, man, and I'm just like, I'm very curious to see like where he'll be in like 4 to 5 years in terms of pro wrestling. So it's definitely interesting. And Trinity, like we talked about it countless times in terms of her time at WWE. I always felt like, especially over the last like 3 or 4 years, like they viewed her as a part of that old guard that was going to help just usher in the next generation. And of course that's always a positive thing. You always want to build up the people that's going to take up after those current individuals are, no longer on that full-time type of schedule, years down the line. You always want to start building up the next generation. But I feel like Trinity, they sort of put her in that position too early, and they sort of viewed, like, they tried to like just slide her into this one thing. But like, I think that now she has this opportunity, unfortunate as the situation that occurred in WWE, because she's spoken about it publicly, that in various interviews, that it hurt about how that whole situation was. WWE unfolded, saying that she'd been there for a real long time in her career. So I'm glad to see her, thriving in Impact. It seemed like she having a good time. Like, when I hear her talking to these interviews, she seemed like she having fun. Locker room embracing her. And I remember even Kris had said, I think this was about 2 months ago in the NWA podcast, like, when we talking about the possibility of her winning a knockout title, I remember Kris was like, you need to put a knockout title on. She the biggest star in the women's division. Like, she biggest star in the
biggest star in the company, damn near.
Like, but when you talk about like just popularity and notoriety, and I'm not even just from a personal aspect, when she was on Total Divas and all that type of stuff, like, Trinity she has a name that is coming in.
And she's somebody you can send out to like talk shows, and like when you're in different towns.
She was on what's that? Was Sherry Shepherd? That's her name.
Yeah, Sherry Shepherd.
She was on the Sherry Shepherd and promoting Impact. Like, they had her introduced as Impact Wrestling superstar Trinity.
I can't remember, Andrew. Hold on, let's bring it back. Let's bring it back. I can't remember.
Kick that over to Kris when you.
The last time you had an Impact Wrestling star actually promote Impact on, like, outside of like these local shows, you know what I mean? Like, they always promote when they're in somebody's town.
In NGN 6.
But they gave your boy Terrence from Florida the bag, Kris. They gave this man the bag, and he couldn't be bothered one time, Kris.
Not one
time to say Impact Wrestling on the Tonight Show with Jay Leno, on the Good Morning America. This brother couldn't form his lips to say those words. But you got Trinity out here on Sherry Shepherd Show, which is a nationally syndicated show, promoting Impact Wrestling. And I think that's a beautiful thing. So what do you think about Trinity, Kris, as well as Lio Rush? And I got Kenny King, BDC for life out here.
All right. Well, yeah. Well, shout out to Kenny King. I've met him a few times at different conventions. I'm sure there's a picture of me and him on either my Facebook or Twitter.
Y'all used to be male dancers together?
Nah, not that. But he's a good dude, man.
Yeah, shout out to Kenny King.
Yeah. He was like, I don't know if he's still with that woman he was with the last time I saw him in 2017. But that woman was all kinds of fine.
Don't ruin your marriage already, bro.
Well, I already told my wife about her. Like, I was looking at him, and then the woman he was with she was out of this world, man. But shout out to Kenny King, and I was like that player, man.
Now Kris got beef with Omos and Kenny.
Kenny King. It's on these streets.
Look, you can appreciate somebody's woman without wanting to steal her, you know. That was my woman, man.
We got Kris Steely over here. Real quick though, Kris. Talking about Kenny King before you go on to your other point. I will say, and I don't even know if this episode is available anywhere. I don't even remember at the time. I think we published it, but I'm not quite sure. When Brian Mann and I were doing reviewing Impact back in the day, this was when Impact had moved to, I want to say it was Destination America. And this was like at the height of the BDC versus Drew McIntyre and the Rising. And,
where they had the brawl to open up the show.
Yes, they had the brawl to open up the first episode of Destination America, which is actually a pretty decent little angle. They had John was able to get Kenny King on for me and Brian. I don't think Brian was able to make it, so I think it might have just been like me and Kenny King for about 15 minutes or so, 20 minutes. And he was a great interview, and he even like was joking that he'd heard like we was with MVP last thing Kenny King, we was calling him MLK out here on these streets. He heard. But like I just think this is another brother, Kris, that is somebody who I feel like can kind of get pigeonholed sometimes. And so I'm glad Kenny is in a place, and that's the thing, Ray. It's not always about the size of the stage. It's about does the stage fit what you bring to it. And so that's why I'm glad, Kenny's getting this kind of another act here in Impact, because the brother has always been like, you can make the argument, and I will make the argument, Andrew Thompson. I'm gonna say it. You know what I'm saying? Don't hate the player, hate the game. I'm gonna say it. Kenny King is by far the greatest graduate of Tough Enough in the history of Tough Enough graduates.
Right.
Bar none. None. Kenny King is that dude.
Yeah, the season he was on, he should have won it.
Was that the Maven season?
It was the season after that.
That was the one. Was that the one Nydia won?
It was the one where the two women won, Jackie Gata and Linda Miles.
Oh snap, Linda Miles.
Hold on, wait. Is Linda Miles? But was that?
That was Shaniqua.
She was with the Bashams.
With the Bashams, yes.
Hold on, wait, bro. When I was on this kick like in 2021, bro, when I was trying to interview like every wrestler that had like seemed like they fell off the face of the earth. Like I was like reaching out to like these, and Linda was one of those people, bro. I could not find nothing. Like I got a contact with this reporter who had interviewed her back in like 2016, and he sent me her email, but it was like I guess it was like must have been like defunct or something like that, because it sent me like an error message back. Bro, I always wondered what happened to her. Because like she was like a fixture with the Bashams and the Cabinet and JBL and all them, and I was like, oh my god!
I saw.
Go ahead, Kris.
I saw Maven like probably around 07, 08.
Yeah, you told me that like maybe he wasn't feeling being Maven.
Yeah, he was not trying to be recognized, man. This was like in New York. I saw him at the club out there, and I was like, oh, Maven. And he was like Look, you look like you want to drop a nigga for
drop kick your ass out the club like he did the Undertaker, the Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
You should have pulled your phone and started playing his theme song. You let everybody know. Bet you answer now.
Yeah. So Kenny, if like the word deserves often gets overused in wrestling and stuff and in life pretty much because nobody really gets what they deserve, what I'm saying? Because if that was the case, then Kenny King should have been a way bigger star in wrestling than he has been, he's always been a good worker. He should have won that season Tough Enough, but I think they didn't want to give two black people the winner slot that year, so they went with Jackie Gata and Linda Miles. And it was what it was.
Too many gimmicks. We can't have both of them win.
Yeah, exactly. But the wrestling business, if you allow it to, especially if you are black, it will drive you crazy. Even with our boy Jonathan Gresham, where he I would listen to an interview with him, and he admitted that he did not handle his AEW departure, his ROA departure in the right way. And that was big of him to admit that, because he just he was angry, and I understood.
Right.
And sometimes when you're in wrestling, like ACH and stuff, the things that you get saddled with, you still have to maintain a level of professionalism, and it's not an easy thing to do. In the defense of Lio Rush, I don't think anybody in WWE or in AEW for that matter saw a career trajectory higher for him than what they had him booked at. I think he was that's where he was going to be at. So him being a journeyman wrestling and going from place to place and maintaining his other careers in retrospect is probably the best thing he could probably do for himself, because I don't know what Tony Khan's vision he had for Lio Rush is. And the thing with AEW, a criticism that I'm starting to levy at them a little bit more is I remember when WCW underutilized guys were in WCW and WCW didn't know what they had with them, they'd go to WWE and become big stars, talking about Mankind, Triple H, Steve Austin, even Road Dogg, just so many guys that were underutilized in WCW. They'd go to WWE, and then WWE would find talent in them. And I can't really think of any has done that with that much. Like Cody Rhodes, his WWE's career is 100% in thanks in part to AEW.
Yes.
But they haven't really gotten WWE guys in AEW, and it's like, oh, they're utilizing these guys to, like, WWE didn't know what they had with these guys,
Right.
And I think that's gonna become a constant criticism with AEW if they keep
except for Sting.
Sting is he doesn't count, but
Sting.
I would say one of the people in that conversation, you Mox for sure, because Mox is like
Mox was WWE World Champion. I don't think WWE didn't know what they had with.
No.
I think the difference is with AEW, because I could say like Brian feels freer in AEW. I think they're not making them bigger, but they are giving them more freedom, which allows them to maybe show off sides of their personality and sides of their performance that WWE wasn't allowing because it didn't fit the parameters of the machine.
Right. Yeah. I think that's a better explanation for it, because I do think they're gonna come to a point where it's like you gotta do something with, because even what's the guy's name? EC3, you know, TNA did make him a bigger star than he was in
he was a way bigger star in TNA than he was in
WWE. And then he went back to WWE and he turned. They put him right back at scrub status, you know.
Yeah.
So
then he had to go and control his narrative. That's what happens, Chris.
That shit been cooked ever since. Ever since, bro. Like, I'm about to say with Easy, like, but when I'm thinking about that, like, I was like, especially you talking about his TNA run, like they, like both of y'all just said, Nate and Chris, like they made him into like their biggest star or one of their biggest stars in the company. Right. He went back to WWE, had a semi-successful run at NXT, and then boy, when he got caught up to the main roster, they was like, they was like, no sir.
Right, yeah, and that's just kind of like a thing that's missing in wrestling right now, you know. Like, and a lot of these guys that went to WWE back in the 90s, I think like Stunning Steve Austin, I would venture to say most people that were watching WCW in the early 90s saw what that guy could be, you know, before he got to WWE.
Yeah, maybe not a world champion, but he was going to go pretty far.
Yeah. You really, and I think that and that's what I want to see from like these companies. Like if you take a guy that wasn't doing anything where he was at before, and you turn him into something that bigger than he ever imagined being, you know. And I will say that AEW 100% did that with Cody Rhodes. I don't care what anybody says. AEW is the reason why Cody Rhodes is in his WWE position today. With Naomi, Trinity. I'm not going to call her by her slave name again. I was waiting for that. With Trinity, she, I don't know. I think Impact is the best place for her to go because I don't think AEW would have wanted her unless she was going to sign a 3-year contract, and she might not be in a place where she wants to do that at the moment.
Right.
And Impact is going to kind of let her.
And this is all reckless speculation for me. So I'm going to go ahead and put the disclaimer out there to protect, you know, post wrestling and post wrestling enterprises. But I also think if Trinity went to AEW, there would always be that constant thing from the front office. Like, hey, what's your girl up to? Hey, you talk to your girl lately? Hey, you know, you think you can get Sasha on the line? You think, hey, what's Mercedes up to right now? You texting her lately? I think there would always be that pressure from management to like try to bring in Mercedes, and to me that diminishes Trinity. And it shouldn't be like, you shouldn't want me just because of who I know.
With Trinity, like in terms of like a possibility of like a run in AEW, I was curious about like what that would look like and like how that would sort of go. But like I think just looking at AEW's women, I think that it takes a minute for you know, for them to sort of book people into like a stable position. Like even with when you look at, we're gonna talk about
Athena.
We can talk about Athena in a little bit, but like when she came in AEW, like it was like she was hot. You know what I'm saying? Like, of course, it's like anybody is who like comes in from, you know, they got the they got all the aura around them, and then like
100.
She and then she sort of like drifted off a little bit, and she got filled to the wayside. And then next thing you know, this opportunity came about with Ring of Honor, and like now she's having the best run of her career. You know what I'm saying? Like I think Athena's doing her best. Like we're gonna talk about all that later, but I think. I really do agree with Chris with the fact that I think Impact is the best fit for Trinity right now because they realize the star that they have in her. They know the popularity that she has.
They value her.
Even the online like interactions and social media attention that she draws just from the fan base that she's garnered over the last, you know, having like a decade plus that she's been in the business. You know what I'm saying? She has like a really solid following who back her, like, and they're going to go wherever she goes and support her everywhere she goes and stuff like that. So when I'm looking at as far as like a long-term future with Impact, I can definitely see that. But I think one of the benefits with Impact is that they do have the ability to offer like those, you know, 3-year deals and stuff like that. But also at the same time, they're willing to work with talents to be like, hey, if you want to do these, you know, like you want to do like a 5-month Like we can do that. Like we literally just saw that with Nick Aldis. Nick Aldis came in. He came back in April, wrapped up, and it's July. Had a quick 3-month little stint. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I think that benefits a lot of people. Especially in this era of pro wrestling, when you come to talking about being on national television, there is a lot of wrestlers who, you said once you sign to either WWE, AEW, normally the thing is, they want you for at least 2-3 years at the max. They want you there for that longer period of time, and I think that it benefits a lot of wrestlers who are in Impact because they're able to continue work the indies. They're able to go X, Y, and Z while working that sort of tape. Because the taper schedule is like really solid. I think for a lot of, and it benefits a lot of wrestlers. So. And
WWE is wanting to sign people for like 5-year contracts now.
Yeah, they lock it. They try to lock people down, bro. They try to lock people down.
So it's like when you are in a position like that, that is a long time to be signing any kind of contract. Bro, even 3 years is a little long too. But
I was about to say, bro, like even
5 years.
Oh, there you go.
No, that's it. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was about to say, like, even with MLW and Jacob Fatu, like they locked him into like, I think he signed like 2025, bro. That's a long ass time. You know what I'm saying, bro? Like I remember that story came. I think it was like 2021 or 2020. Like 2025. You know how much shit changes in a year. Let alone, like I don't know about that, but like just I know we got other stuff we're gonna touch on, but like I want to kick it over to Ray real quick, just like your overall summed up thoughts about like what the future of Trinity's running Impact could look like, because obviously she's going to be here post Slammiversary. Any potential challenges that you potentially see where I know like she's been doing like stuff with Jill Saw. That's kind of been like a common thing, like leading up to her getting the Knockouts title. You got your Taylor Wilds in the division. You got your Callan Kings. You got your Killer Kelly and Marsha Slamovich, who are the Knockouts World Tag Team Champions right now. Like, what do you see as far as like the future of Trinity and Impact Wrestling, and could you see her, maybe possibly making a home at Impact? Maybe signing like maybe a long-term deal with the company if things continue to track in the right direction.
Well, as I said before, I really do believe that this is the time for her to make a name for herself as far as proving that she can be a top draw within that division. Like all of you have already stated before, she's pretty much the biggest star in that company. And so, again, I think the onus is going to be, all right, well, let's see if she can prove that she can be in there with some of the best wrestlers, female wrestlers in the world now. Let's see that she can prove that she can be at the top and that she can lead that and, shoot that on to even further superstardom. And I would love to see her jump into other stuff as well. I know she does great stuff with music. I'd love to see that jump off. I'd love to see her jump off as far as with the acting, because I know she's been getting into that. And a great point that you made as well, Andrew, is everybody's wondering, or I think it was you, Nate, everyone's wondering, oh, what's going on with your friend? What is she gonna come back? Well, now she can prove that, hey, the spotlight, the glow, if you will, should be on me. Okay. See, I'm digging the wordplay, Nate. I'm trying to pick up on
the student has become the teacher.
But yeah, it's her time to prove that, hey, maybe the shine should be more focused on me. And I do think, because the door's always going to be open as long as the relationships are kept within, like, as far as with the talent, and if she does ever want to go back, because people keep asking. I know people keep asking Jimmy Uso, hey, you talking to her? How's she doing? And I know he just recently, along with his brother, did an interview with Ariel Helwani, and then people always asking me, I don't know what she just gonna do her own thing. I love to have her on the road with it. So I think that door is always going to be open. But again, as you guys were saying, I really think the time is now in order for her to go ahead and grab that proverbial grass ring and prove that she can be not just one of the prettiest faces, or not just one of like the superstars as far as like her, not aura, but as far as her reputation, as far as her being in WWE and all the time that she's logged in there, but to prove that she's a phenomenal worker as well, and to prove that she deserves to be on the top and to lead an organization. And I did want to touch on Kenny King real quick as well. And I know we do have some people in the chat. I know Huang Nguyen, thanks for joining us. Will Rellis, Portal.
This man Ray, this ain't even Ray's show. He out here producing.
I can't turn the producer.
Highlight the super chat because that's been there for a minute.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that was dealing with NXT, Chris's favorite show right now. But I didn't know if you guys wanted to jump into that right now.
They move to the front of the line when we get the super. They can want to talk about the Westminster Dog Show as long as they're sending us money.
The cat says, "Thank you for the super chat." The cat says, "Much love to the NWA crew. What do you all think about the greatest NXT North American champion ever, the top draw, Dominik Mysterio?" Let me get on this real quick.
Get on him, Andrew.
This man. Oh no, wait, real quick. I'm gonna just say that this man Wesley is without question the greatest NXT North American champion of all time. Like, it's not even like it's not even an opinion thing. It's just fact when you look at his title reign, like the accolades that he's achieved throughout this title reign. And like, dude, I'm looking at some of the matches that Wes has had since winning the belt. Dude has like had nothing but like really solid, really solid, good or great matches either on television or at these NXT premium live events. Like Wes is on one. Like he really is, and he's having like a really great one. There was a part of me like when they did the title switch with Dominik. I like when Dominik got his first title, because again I don't want to discredit Dominik Mysterio and start being like, oh, but because he's dude, like I never thought that they would be able to sort of unlock what they've unlocked with Dominik. Like I never thought like in a million years that this dude would probably be like the biggest heel. Probably like more than likely the biggest heel in the company in terms of like getting those consistent negative reactions that he gets on weekly television. It's like to a point where this dude lifts a mic and they won't even let him talk. Like it's like that consistent. But when I saw the way that the match went down, and I mean it was. See, I think that Dominik, like in terms of the in-ring work, it wasn't like the best, like from Dominik's end, because like you can tell he's what when you talking about just in-ring work, strictly in-ring work, Wes is like up here, and Dominik is like right here. You know what I'm saying? Because what Wes is like,
I think you got Dominik a little bit higher than he deserves to be too.
Bring that hand.
I'm talking about like when you talking about just pure in-ring work. Wes is like levels above.
Dom's never gonna be his daddy.
Dominik Mysterio. Just in-ring work, but like it was just like I thought that when Dominik got his first title win, I was gonna be like, oh yeah, that's cool, happy for him, yada yada. But like I don't know how I really felt about it, just like the expense of Wes's title, because he's been on such a great run.
It felt a little.
He had the match against Mustafa Ali at Great American Bash, and I was like, pretty sure that's gonna be you know what I'm saying, something nice right there. But I mean, I'm pretty sure they probably gonna round around, go to like a triple threat or something like that. And we'll find out soon, because that show's like next week anyway, or this coming week. So, but I mean, well, like just circling back around the West, like that dude's like North American title run, like definitely needs to be commended for what he's done. But like going back to the question that was asked, definitely want to touch on the super chat and let everybody else get a touch on this too. Like Dominik, I mean, like Dominik is going to be really solid in terms of the character work and being able to boost the North American championship.
He's going to be the most featured North American champion.
The most featured North American champion, from taking it to Raw and taking it to SmackDown. Like I think even last week he was like he main evented Raw, main evented NXT, and main evented SmackDown. I believe he main evented SmackDown this past week with Butch, aka Pete Dunne. So I mean, I'm not going to hate on Dom.
And to be fair to ex-con Dom nephew, like that match with Wesley did draw ratings.
It definitely did. It definitely did draw ratings. So I mean, I think that, I mean, the in-ring work, but it's gonna come with time. Like Dominik, what he been at it for 3 years already. Like he debuted at SummerSlam 2020. So I mean, it's gonna come with time. Somebody 3 years in and to be drawing the attention that he has in terms of like these crowd reactions, I think he'll be fine. Like he'll be fine.
Andrew, that's one thing I did want to point out as well. Like he came in like at the pandemic, like right prior to. And he came in, and not only did he come in and he went straight to like WWE, working with his father and tag matches against like Brock Lesnar and stuff. Like he did developmental for a little bit, and even prior to WWE, he did like some stuff on the indies for a little bit, but he still didn't have that exposure. So I think this is a phenomenal move on top or on the WWE's part, as far as not only having him kind of be the face of that North American division right now, but also now you're back in developmental now. So now it's like you can get, because it's only so much work you can do like on the main stage when you got three pretty much of the hottest performers in your stable.
Right. A stable, like if anybody watched True Hill Heat this morning or yesterday morning, Saturday morning, like there are reports that the WWE views the Judgment Day as the successor to the Bloodline story when that wraps up.
Right. And I truly believe that too. And it kind of had me wondering why they were kind of teasing the dissension between Finn and between
Damian
Priest. Yeah. So, but I believe, that's picked up right up where the Bloodline has left off, even though like the Bloodline split or the Bloodline Civil War is still kind of getting those ratings in that aspect. But in terms of Dom, I just feel like this gives him a good outlet to go in the ring and get a little bit better, help you, Andrew, bring that hand up a little bit more with Dom when it comes to, because Wesley, like when you look at Wesley's accomplishments, even before he came into NXT, like he was doing stuff on the indies and he was trained by Sami Callihan and he was
Impact,
Rascals.
Impact, exactly. And he was getting those reps. And now you're seeing the polish. And you're seeing like when he first came in as a tag team, and now you're seeing him as a solo performer.
So, and two things though on that, because I want to spin it back to Andrew. So, two things. Number one, I have noticed though, this is a disturbing trend for our guy ex-Con Dom. I've noticed most of his singles victories, they've been over Xavier Woods, Apollo Crews, Shelton Benjamin, Wesley. Oh, I ain't saying nothing, Andrew. I'm just saying his opponents, his victories seem to be a little Brock Lesnar-ish. If you know what I'm saying.
I was just about to say.
But then the second thing, Andrew, I want to spin to you in terms of when you talk about Dominik Mysterio in this position. I think that he kind of benefits from being in this group in the Judgment Day, but also he doesn't have to be the best in-ring worker, at this time.
It's just got to get about the character, bro.
The character's on fire. He just got to get a little bit better in the ring.
Yeah. I was about to say, and then on top of that, like I would even add in the point that the Judgment Day, they benefit a lot from being in the ring with him because of the reaction that he draws. Like Dominik even doing something as simple as him signaling to the crowd when he's on the tag, like when he's doing these tag matches with either Priest or Balor or however they mix it in, and him, signaling to the crowd or whatever like that, and they start showering in these boos at this dude. Like,
boo this man.
Yeah, like the thing with Dominik, like I think the in-ring work and him improving on that front is probably more than likely going to come with time when you just look at, because like even what Ray said, like Dominik's first match ever was against Seth Rollins at SummerSlam. First match at like no prior experience for this dude. Like he came in at a pay-per-view event and had a match against one of the company's best in-ring talents. So I think it's gonna come, but like it's still when I'm thinking about that match and that match he had against Wesley, it was kind of, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't the prettiest exhibition. You know what I'm saying? It definitely wasn't that. But see the thing about Dominik is like again, it's the character aspect of it, and of course having the Judgment Day. But when the NXT crowd, when they start seeing like the Finns and the Damians and the Rheas getting feel, like it sort of pushes away the thought or the idea of what they sort of watching in ring, and then sort of be able to focus on just the character aspect and the whole shebang of it all. You know what I'm saying? And they go the pop and circumstance, and they can focus on that and get fulfilled by seeing all that. But I mean, one thing I do hope is, like, as far as Wesley goes, I hope that this means that possibly maybe he can sort of move up to the next stage and start challenging for the NXT.
I hope so.
I hope that's something.
I think I'm gonna have to be the bad guy on this episode.
Just say good night to the bad guy.
Just Dominik Mysterio is not good.
Don't do it, Kris.
I have to.
This.
Dominik Mysterio has a lot of bells and whistles around him.
A lot of smoke and mirrors.
Yes, that accentuates his aura. First, it was his father. Rey Mysterio Jr. Is a GOAT.
Yes.
He is a undeniable top 5, 10 greatest wrestler of all time.
No question.
Easily the greatest cruiserweight ever in North America.
Talk to him, Kris.
Dominik is in a stable with the hottest woman
Mommy
on the planet. Anytime you take Dominik Mysterio and take him away from his pops and
take him away from his mom,
take away from mommy, and you take him away from any of the stuff that makes him, it's never the Cody Rhodes feud that he had. It exposed him, in my opinion.
Really?
I think so. I don't
know about that, bro.
The Cody, it was a stupid nothing feud. It was a squash match.
But how did that? I'm like genuinely curious. Like, how did that?
It exposed him as a guy on the roster. It didn't. It showed that he was. But
isn't that like sort of all he is, though? In a way, like he's just another guy on the roster that's like beneficial to the stable that he's in. But also, when you say Dominik is like surrounded by bells and whistles, he is the bell and whistle. Like that's like exactly what he's the bell and whistle to the Judgment Day. Like they benefit from him. He been like, I mean, I get what you're saying in the sense of like,
you can argue.
Like Dominik is a heat magnet.
No.
You can say it's a symbiotic relationship.
No. I mean, I get what you're saying in terms of like it is like he's not maybe as like cracked up as like people may think when you talking about strictly the in-ring work. But like I think it would be like sort of foolish to like deny like the strides in terms of like
this character,
the character, and again, what Kris Sanders had credence. He's not just saying that. I agree with what he's saying because he is. It's a benefactor to him, his father, Rey Mysterio, and nephew they had. You can't discredit Rhea. You can't discredit Finn. You can't discredit Damian. Like he benefits from each and every one of these individuals that he's in, but also within these respective programs, he takes from these individuals. Like when he was at a feud with Cody, like it wasn't necessarily like this big thing. Like I never viewed that. I always viewed that when they brought Dominik out to come feud with Cody is just like a bridge to just slow down until they could get back to the Brock thing.
Just
That's
a side quest.
But when you're talking about Dominik and being in the ring with Cody, he was holding his own in terms of the reaction. Of course, they booing the hell out of this dude, but like it wasn't like he was just in there and everybody was just dead silent.
Yeah, but
they
he's
hated
in there
the
with
shit out of
Cody Rhodes.
But they were reacting to Dominik, bro. Like I mean, I
think it's a Cody. I think it was more that you are wrestling our favorite person. I think if he was in there with Chad Gable, I don't think people would have cared as much. I think Cody Rhodes is somebody that audience cares about. I don't think Dominik.
But on a consistent basis, Dominik is getting these like it isn't just like that it was that specific instance with Cody where he getting like these absurd amount of boosts. This is like a weekly thing, and it's been like this for the last like 4 to 5 months.
Vicky Guerrero was getting the same kind of heat. She was. She 100% was getting the same. She was getting the same kind of heat that Dominik Mysterio was getting every single time. She wouldn't even have to talk. All she'd have to do is put the microphone to her lips. And before she said, "Excuse me," one time, she was getting booed. This is the heat that Dominik is getting. I do not trust his career trajectory once this bloodline stuff is over with.
The Judgment Day.
Whatever, Judgment Day. It runs together.
I think with Dominik, and this might be a good time to. I don't know what your next story was, Andrew, but this might be a good time to kind of pivot to WWE. But I think that when you look at Dominik, he's got a very specific kind of heat, right? Like it's not X-Pac heat, right? Like it's not go away heat, but it is
character, bro.
It is we don't like you heat, right? Like it's like we like shut the hell up. Like we sick of you, man. but we like to boo you. And I think that's a difference.
They hate the character, bro. Like that's what it is. It's
boo you. I think that's a specific difference than from somebody like X-Pac, where it's like, we just don't see you at all, dog. Like, we ain't even got time for you, dog.
And then I do want to add. I do want to add, as far as Andrew's point, it's like, well, yeah, that's the character. It's like the character is a coward, and so it's like, and he knows that he's not as good as Mummy. He knows that he's not as good as Finn. He knows that he's not as good as Damien, and I think that's why you're seeing the shortcuts, and that's why you're seeing like he's getting these reactions out of people. And I think again, it goes along to the fact that let him get some more experience. Right. Let him get some more time in the ring.
I think that's what Chris's question is, Ray. I think Chris's question is, what is the ceiling?
I think his ceiling is always going to be as far as who he's associated with. But also at the same time, I think that Dominik at this specific point in his career has garnered enough of that heat to where he can carry it to other people. Like he even in that match with NXT North American, when he was in the NXT North American Championship West, he was in there by Rhea and Finn and them came in towards the end. But in terms of like generating that type of reaction where people just do not want to see this dude succeed at all, that's all Dominik. When he was in there with West, they just did not want to see this dude succeed. They did not want to see this dude win the championship from West. And I think that's just because Dominik has been able to like take what he did with Ray and transfer that over to the Judgment Day, and it has followed him over to the Judgment Day, and you're seeing that on a consistent week-to-week basis. I definitely think the in-ring work has to improve. Like, he has to get better, but at this specific point in his career, he is good enough to just skate by on that front because of the character work is so good. You know what I'm saying? It is. Like, you can't even bullshit around it. It's just that good. Yes, it's not the most fair thing when you got people who are leaps and bounds better when you're talking about just in-ring work, pure in-ring work. Yes, there are multiple and abundance of talents who are there who will like leave this fucking dude in the dust in the ring. That is a 100% fact. Yeah. But when you're talking about strictly character work, bro, there is nobody. There are probably like 3 or 4 people that you can name, bro, that gets the type of reaction.
And here's the crazy thing, Andrew. I'm gonna say it like,
but real quick, just to touch on this. It's not like, dude, this dude could be like in fucking Arkansas or some shit like that. You know what I'm saying? And they booing this dude out the building.
I mean, they might be booing him for other reasons. Shout out
to Arkansas.
But real quick, Andrew, I think the thing with Dominik, like he's got the character nailed. It's weird. It's kind of weird because like he's a good promo, like he's a decent promo, but he's not like Cody. He's not like LA Knight, right? Like he's not a talker in that fashion. But it's almost like he has innate negative charisma. Like Jeff Hardy wasn't the best talker. Everybody loves Jeff Hardy, bro. Like Dominik, you just want to boo this dude. You want to pray for his downfall. You don't want him to succeed.
Exactly. He looks like it. And all the tattoos and acting like you went to prison and
stuff. Right.
Like it's all a compilation, bro, of like months of this story that they've been telling with this. Like this is like some overnight shit that they've been doing. Like this all started when he took that little brief break or whatever, and he came back and he had the teardrop on his eye. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what all that started. Kurt, yelling at his mom on television, yelling at his sister, throwing his drinks at his sister and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what all this started. Like I'm
that's a good point right there. Dominik is the only person that can get Rhea booed.
Dominik is the only person that get Rhea booed. Yeah. Shout out to Money Mark for that comment. But yeah, man. I mean, in terms of like Dominik's ceiling, I think that, bro, I would even go as far as to say is that I think that even without Finn and Damien, that he would be fine. Like if you split them up and you just leave Dominik with Rhea, I think they would be fine for at least the next 2 to 3 years, bro.
I think so too.
Like dead ass. I think they would be just fine. I think Dominik will get the exact same reactions. Like I think that he would be just like, but I think that him and Rhea, they are a collective unit,
right?
Like there are some talents, bro, just in wrestling period, not even just WWE. There are a lot of people in wrestling who they connect well with the individual that they pair on screen with, and they just click. Like I think even with Trick Williams and Carmelo Hayes, they are a duo. You know what I'm saying? They work together. Like they fit together. They are a package deal. You know what I'm saying? And like, I'm not saying one can't work without the other, but they benefit when they're around each other. They bring out and then with Rhea and Dom, they bring out the best in each other. Like with all people buying into the character, you got people speculating that they're in a real relationship. People are invested in these two individuals. So sometimes people be going a little overboard with this shit. You know what I'm saying? But like they are invested in these two individual characters, but more so they are invested in them together. And I think that's harking it back to Trick and Mello. They fit what, bro. Carmelo, I think Carmelo can do fine just on his own. Yeah. But with Trick Williams right there, and Trick Williams being his hype man, it just adds that little extra oomph to it, to the overall presentation of these two individuals that come together and present this one package deal. And you can ship them off to a SmackDown, you can ship them off to a Raw, and they can sort of feed off each other and get the crowd going, amongst themselves.
I think the whole Judgment Day act brings Rhea down. I think Rhea needs to be the number one babyface woman in that company at the moment. She needs to be what they wanted Ronda Rousey to be, in my opinion.
Ooh, I can't wait to talk about Ronda Rousey here in a little bit.
I think the Judgment Day is not. I think Rhea Ripley is so much better than the Judgment Day that she's helping them out. I don't see the help she's getting from it. I don't. I think she should. I think her heel trajectory has ran its course, in my opinion. I think she needs to be a baby face now.
So it's kind of akin to like The Rock and the Nation, you thinking?
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what I would compare it to. I think right now she's in the Judgment Day to make those three dorks better. It's not helping her.
I see that point to a certain extent, but with Rhea, I would say this, right? Okay, you turn Rhea babyface, right? Where does she go from there? Like who does she feud with? You turn her babyface.
People up, man.
So why can't she? She's like when you have Rhea as a heel, this is what you do. You give the ability to the over sort of abundance of baby faces that you have on that Raw brand. You got your Liv Morgans, you got your Raquel Rodriguez, who she's probably gonna be feuding. Right. Who's probably gonna go one-on-one at SummerSlam. Yeah. You got your you go ahead, Chris.
Who are the baby faces in WWE on the women's side of things? The crowd that actually they love cheering. Not Bianca Belair,
Becky.
But who else? Becky and her. I think that's it, man. I think this is my whole thing. Is when you have a hot baby face, you don't saddle them with this kind of crap. I'm
trying to think. So you got Becky, you got Bianca.
It's the same thing that's going on with LA Knight at the moment. LA Knight is hot. He needs to be, that stuff needs to be taken advantage of because you don't get it with that many people. One, that you don't have those kind of reactions with that many people. And we'll talk about AEW soon and Ricky Starks, but you don't get that stuff all the time. Like, people are dying to cheer Rhea Ripley wholeheartedly. And every time she's doing some Judgment Day stuff, it stops her from reaching her full potential as a babyface. I mean, even say that's just my opinion with it. No. I think it's good for the Judgment Day. Yeah. I don't think it's good for her.
I mean, even when you look back at what was that, 2019, when she had her babyface running NXT, when she was the NXT Women's Champion, I feel like that was like peak babyface Rhea Ripley. Me personally, but I just don't see like the babyface aspect in Rhea anymore. I see her as like that heel, like who fused with multiple baby faces at one time and tried to take on everybody, and then eventually tried to dive into the men's division. Like, if she can't,
and gets cheered over all the women that she fights. WWE has. I've said this 1,000 times. They have a babyface problem.
But they do not know how to book them. I don't think that's necessarily like I think that's just the crowd just choosing to cheer who they cheer. Like, I don't think it's necessarily a baby face.
So why can't you help the crowd along?
But people just like Rhea, bro. They just like her.
Yeah, but I don't watch a Superman movie and then the crowd is there chilling Lex Luthor. People like Lex Luthor as a villain. They appreciate the Joker. They're not cheering for the Joker to beat up Batman. They're not cheering for Lex Luthor to beat Superman. Rhea Ripley, they are cheering for her to beat down these babyface women. They do not like these babyface women as much as they like Rhea Ripley.
Rhea and Raquel. Rhea's definitely gonna get the cheers in that one.
Yeah, it's starting to become like, what are we doing with this? This is all I'm saying.
So if you turn Rhea babyface, then what? Then what do you do?
Put her in there with some strong heels that are good and have her beat them. This is 101.
Bro,
I'm
asking you this in the sense of like when you looking at these strong heels that you're referring to, who are these strong heels that you're going to put?
You have to build them up because I have no clue.
That's the biggest thing because they haven't built up either side.
I know Rhea Ripley is the baby face. I know that. I have no clue who these heels are.
Like
that is
maybe Shayna.
Shayna probably.
So why would you turn her heel if there's nobody to? Why would you turn her babyface if there's nobody? You went the obvious.
Because you gotta build stuff. Because the fans are cheering for her already.
They're gonna cheer regardless, bro.
I don't understand this. Is what I'm saying. Maybe we should probably.
I will say the moment
like an hour 14 that we
but yeah. So last point on this topic though, I think. You know, you can do two things at once, right? You can start to plant seeds. But I think the moment Rhea like realizes that Dom is a schmuck, and like mushes him or something, like that's gonna be the biggest ovation on whatever show that takes place on, because people want to boo Dom and they want to cheer Rhea. Now the question is, how do you get there, and also how do you that's a larger discussion for another day in terms of how the WWE books their women, Andrew, because it's a little shaky outside of your top tier talent.
I was about to say Nate, Kris, and even and Ray. Like when they out there, Dom is getting the biggest boos, right?
Yeah.
And then when he passes the mic to Rhea, what do you hear? Mommy.
Yes.
Mommy. you know what I'm saying? But see, that's what I'm saying. Like, okay, you turn her babyface. I mean, either way, I'm looking at him like, bro, the dynamic still works. And again. People are still going to cheer Rhea regardless of whoever she's partnered with. Like they hate Dominik, they love Rhea. But I'm saying, but you got this collective unit known as the Judgment Day. I like me. I'm one of those people, but I'm like, why would you mess with a good thing? It's a good thing you got all these people, all these 4 individuals at the same time. Everybody is clicking on all cylinders. Why would you want to steer from that at this exact moment? You know what I'm saying?
I think Rhea Ripley could be a great thing. I think she could be better than a good thing. That's my thing. I think she is a good thing. I think the Judgment Day is a good thing. I think Rhea Ripley is somebody that can be through the stratosphere. I think she could eclipse most people in that company at the moment. And I think that her being in that stable doesn't allow her to do that. It allows her to be good. It doesn't allow her to be excellent.
Let's see. The only reason I can't like completely agree with that because we saw a baby face for Rhea back in 2021 when she came up on the main roster and had the match against Asuka, and that was like her whole presentation from the moment she got on the main roster was like the most boring shit ever.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
But that was their fault too, though. You know. Like that, it wasn't
the position she's in now is their doing. You know what I'm saying? Like this is you know what I'm saying? Like I
think they understand her appeal better.
But I mean, we saw the baby face run already, like the good baby face, the good Rhea who wants
the stuff with her and Nikki Ash.
We saw all of that. We saw the tag team with Liv. We saw like the whole baby face gamut with Rhea. She has turned heel, bro, and has literally unlocked a new persona within this collective group full of people who are also unlocking new personas, and they're all unlocking each other. You know what I'm saying? Like this is bro. Like I definitely get what you're saying, but I just don't see the baby face thing going back to it sometime within but save that shit for like summer 2024, bro. Like this is let her run with this. Like this thing is still so fresh in terms of like this thing like actually like clicking, like it's working.
It's getting ratings.
It's even on that, but yeah, we got like 4 more topics to touch on, bro. Like we just spent like an hour 18 on this like one thing.
Who sent that super chat, man? We appreciate the super chat, but this whole tangent was your fault, brother.
Yeah. I think it's the cat,
yeah, man.
Ernest Miller.
It might be. Or Cat Williams. I don't know.
Okay, so
let me hear Pimpin'. I want to talk about Rhea Ripley for a second, Pimpin'.
so let's go ahead and get into this next. But I actually wanted to send this over to Kris. I want to let him get first dibs on this one, man. Like that man Aldis Kane over in MLW. He became the second black MLW World Heavyweight Champion behind Swerve Strickland. The title win, it was at Never Say Never. He defeated Alex Hammerstone. Post match, Kris. This is the thing. Like the title win was great. Second black MLW World Heavyweight Champion, amazing. Kris, this is the thing though. Don King was revealed as the financial backer for Boomaye Fight Club, which is Alex Kane's group. Kris, take it away. Don King, man, MLW.
Clear the lane for Professor Kris.
Well, I just heard about this probably about a couple hours before we got on here. I don't know the name value Don King has in 2023 like he had like in 1990 when he was just all over the place. I think it's I think anytime you could get a figure like Don King and say he's the financial backer or something, it does lend a credibility to it. But I don't know what it means for MLW's mainstream appeal at the moment, because I just don't see Don King as the same person that he was when I was a fan of like all of his fighters, like Evander Holyfield and Mike Tyson and all those cats back in the day. I just Don King doesn't have that kind of relevancy anymore.
Well, let me tell you something, Christopher Ealy. I know you're a professor, but you still need to go back to school, brother, because this young brother, the suplex assassin, Alex Kane, he is the most splendiferous, the most stupendous, the most electrifying, the most egregious wrestler in the history of combat sports. This is the greatest that I've ever seen, Kris, and you can buy him on MLW pay-per-view for $29.99 only in America, Jack.
Only in America.
I think Andrew, I think it's cool. That's how I'll say
cool,
it.
Cool. I definitely agree with I think Kris brought up a fair point about the appeal, right? Because I mean, Kris, I'm pretty and Nate and Ray, I'm pretty sure y'all still they got a little bit of mainstream in terms of the New York Post and you know what I'm saying stuff like when they saw Don King's name. But I am curious as to what as far as what Kris' point is long term, is anybody gonna be talking about this 5 months from now? And again, they trying to, I know Cole Bauer, he had told the New York Post that they're hopeful to get Don King on screen, in person. You know what I'm saying? And he said this has been in the works for quite some time. And it took this long just to get this this one thing sorted out. So yeah, I definitely think Kris brought up an interesting point about how the longevity in terms of people's interest, and it's I think it's a good thing for now. Yeah, it's cool. But
it's not gonna immediately MLW is not gonna overtake AEW because of this, right? It's not a game changing move, but it is cool. It's a cool move, I think, for the company, but I think more specifically for Alex Kane. I think, because every story that you're going to talk about this dude, his name is going to be there. And somebody who's this Alex Kane cat? Let me look him up. You know what I'm saying? Let me check out some of his matches. Let me see what this dude is all about. And, I had a chance to be on a podcast with the brother, I want to say about 4 years ago, because it was right before the pandemic. So maybe, 3.5, 4 years ago. And just everything I've seen, the brother is hardworking. The brother got his head on straight. And I am ecstatic for him, that he has achieved this title win, and I think he's going to make a great champion. And I think just to have, nostalgia is nostalgia, Andrew. And so there's limits to how long it can last and how far it can go, but it's always going to draw some eyeballs. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's a good idea. So Ray, what do you think about this, man? What do you think about this man, Don King, bringing MLW wrestling to the Mandalay Bay live on pay-per-view and closed circuit television, brother?
Well, all I have to say for Alex is, brother, watch your pockets, brother. Watch your pockets, all right? If you do not learn from history, you're doomed to repeat it, man.
Yeah.
Next thing you're gonna be on the street with a white tiger and not know what to do. I think, like you said, Nate, I think it's a good way to bring eyeballs for a quick second. But I'm not thinking it's going to be a long-term thing. But just to get that nostalgia back, and people are like, oh yeah, who are really into combat sports, who are around our age, who are really into combat sports. So like, oh yeah, I remember Don King, and get some eyeballs, and like you said, get some publications on it for a little bit. But now drawing MLW, and then now trying to take it further. To be honest, I really wish Calvin Tankman could have been the champion in that role. But I could see Alex Kane making some waves, and I just like the stable that he's building up. I actually learned about the Don King thing through your tremendous reporter Andrew Thompson on Post Wrestling, and I was kind of going back because every now and then I'll tune into some Fusion episodes on YouTube, and I was actually watching, I think it was like the Go Home episode before that pay-per-view, before Never Say Never, and they had this whole thing about Bomaye Promotions expose, and they were saying all these possible promoters who could be backing it, and they were like, oh, it could be King Muhammad Lawal, who was a former MMA fighter. It could be what's your man name? Dan Lambert from American Top Team. It could be
he negotiated Alex Kane's MLW deal.
Okay. I heard, I think they mentioned that in the piece as well, and then they were mentioning Shane Taylor. It could be Shane Taylor Promotions. It could, which I would love to see that brother continue to rise as well.
Could have been Chris's boy Prince Nana.
Could have been. But then I think at the end of the segment, it was like, none of these people. I'm like, well, then why would we even go through all this? But again, I think it's a good way to bring some eyeballs, even for a quick moment, just to get a little bit of the spotlight. And shout out to Alex Hammerstone as well, who I think it was more than a year, right?
Bro.
Yeah, he's been trying to carry that league on his back, and so props to him as well, and props to Alex Kane for attaining the belt.
And MLW again, Andrew, before we switch gears, is much like kind of Impact in that it is where it is in the wrestling landscape.
We might have to go back to that analogy with Dominik and Wesley. Impact, like right here, you know what I'm saying? MLW,
right. Like MLW's got a niche, it's got fans, but you know, it's hard right now with all of the wrestling that's available.
It's so much damn wrestling, bro.
To carve out your piece of the market.
Yeah. No, for sure. Speaking of different wrestling, different promotions, Ring of Honor, they had to definitely put this on the pay-per-view. The main event. The main event, fellas of the night, Athena defending the ROH Women's World Championship versus Willow Nightingale. Dude, this was what we did. This is simply a great match, a banger, if you will. Like the first portion of this match, it didn't start off slow, but it was like a regular, like normal pace match. And then when things started to pick up, when Willow kicked out of the old face. She kicked out of the first one, and dude, I lied to you not, dude. That crowd was with them the whole way. After that, like they were already with them, but when they saw Willow kick out of the old face, they was like, she might do it. Like she might be the one to take down or dethrone Athena. And man, like I again, the match was great. I feel like Willow and Athena, they really delivered. They had a lot of callbacks. It was mentioned on commentary. They had a lot of callbacks to some of the previous women who were in Ring of Honor when the division wasn't necessarily as like spotlighted, and it wasn't like a marquee thing, but they were there and they had matches here and there and stuff like that, you know, paying tribute to, you know, Mischief and Mercedes Martinez and, you know, those alike. Again, Athena retained the Women's World Championship. I saw there were like some people who were kind of hoping that Willow was going to get the championship. And my whole thing with that is, I feel like, again, I said this earlier, Athena has been on the run of her career. I think that this is the best run of the best stretch of Athena's career, like in ring character work. Like she's like literally like I feel like with her being in Ring of Honor, I feel like literally Tony Khan is like telling her, dude, just do, like, here's the ball. Just make it good. Like that. That's what it feels. She feels free like in what she's been able to do. And I definitely understand the case for Willow winning, because Willow is a great baby face. Like but Willow has,
and she's hot right now.
She's definitely gonna stay hot. Like the thing about Willow is Willow has this uncanny ability to connect with a variety of different people, and Willow has the ability to do it without being like you see some baby faces, like I'm talking about strictly their character, and you just like, he or she, they kind of asshole, you know what I'm saying? Like, but they're a baby face, right? Willow is like pure, like just white meat. You know what I'm saying? Good.
Which is the hardest thing to do.
And she plays it so well, and to the point, like it comes off in her interviews to where I don't even think it's I think that's just her real personality, that she's just like a natural, like bubbly, like happy-go-lucky, like walk in the room like, hey everybody, you know what I'm saying? Like she's like one of those people, and it comes off real well on camera. And then you got Athena, who has like really found her groove, man. And I definitely get the case for Willow winning, but like Athena is like, I'm gonna go back to that phrase, you do not need to mess with a good thing. Like Athena is like having a great run. And then on top of that, okay, look, let's say we put the title on Willow, right? Put the ring about, let's say we could rewind time and Willow wins the title on at Death Before Dishonor. What do you do with Athena after that? What, you gonna be waiting around at AEW TVs on a weekly basis? You know what I'm saying? Like
showing up on random rampages,
having these random squash matches. Like, dude, let her cook, bro. And until the right person comes along. And the reason I don't think Willow's the right person right now is because I think Willow, more than likely, I don't know where they're gonna go, but I wouldn't mind seeing Willow versus Toni Storm for the AEW Women's title at All Out. I really wouldn't mind, like coming out of All In, whoever Tony has at All In, especially if Jamie Hayter's not clear. Dude, if you can give me a good build Willow, against Toni Storm at All Out, you might have to pull the trigger. You know what I'm saying? And Ray, I want to kick it over to you just for your general thoughts on the overall match that Athena had against Willow Nightingale, and also chiming in the discussion about, you know, Willow. Some people wanting Willow to win the championship, but also the case for Athena having this great run and just not really wanting to cut that short right now.
Well, I think I'm in the boat of wanting Willow to get that dub, because you see the month that Willow has been putting up, and granted, with the stuff. And first of all, why we gotta have our sisters attacking each other? First it was Willow versus Mercedes. Now it's Willow versus Athena. Come on, man.
You saying they need more unity?
I know. They're all beautiful and dangerous. You feel me?
Yeah.
Yo, shout out to Team Bad, man. They dropped the ball on Team Bad.
They really did. They really did. But just seeing her against Monet, and I know it was with Monet having that injury, with Mercedes having that injury, but just trusting Willow to get that belt, and then with the stuff that she did, Stardom was what I was trying to get in my mind to promote the name of the promotion, with the work that she did with Julia, and then with her winning the Owen Cup, with the Owen Hart Cup. I'm just thinking, if not now, then when? Because you already had Willow lose against Athena before, and with Athena, I kind of think of it in reverse, Andrew. You think of it as, what do you do with Athena if she loses? What do you do with Athena now? Like, what challenge do you have? Who do you possibly think can now dethrone her now if she's beaten everybody, including the babyface who got better, who won championships, who won tournaments, and then came up and still lost? Like, what do you do with Athena now? I think you could push, if Athena would have lost, you could push Athena into that AEW, into that TBS championship, and maybe have her defeat Kris Statlander. And now you're putting the strap, like the rocket, on her back. And now you got Willow, who's growing in ROH. She's the champ now, and now she has fresh opponents as well. So I think you could have flipped it. I think I could have seen pathways for both wrestlers afterwards, but I'm not complaining too much.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, Ray. I think this is a win-win situation, no matter which way you went. Like, first of all, as Andrew said, man, the match was on point, man. Like, and I was so impressed by both of these women, man, both of our sisters, man. You know, shout out to Athena, because as Andrew mentioned, when she first came into AEW, like, she had that "I'm here now" buzz, right? But that only can take you so far. And it felt like after that buzz wore off, she was just there. You know, she was just a girl on the roster.
She wasn't even there. She
wasn't even there half the time. And so then with this role with ROH, I think it's reinvigorated her. As Andrew mentioned, she's going on one of the best stretches in her career. Like the characters clicking, the in-ring work is clicking. And then when you got Willow, we've all talked about how much we love Willow, man. Like she is somebody who I'd say in the last 2 years or so has just skyrocketed her career and changed the trajectory of her career. But the reason I agree with Andrew in that I think they made the right call keeping it on Athena is a couple things, Ray. Like number one, I think Willow is destined for bigger and better. Like I think Willow is somebody you could see as the AEW Women's World Champion because the crowd is into her. And it's like I said, being this white meat babyface, but without being a punk. Like I think that's like a lot of times you got a white meat babyface, but they a punk, right? They get walked over by the heels. Willow is somebody that we've seen, like she steps up to these heels, and so
she ain't no sucker.
She ain't no sucker, man. She ain't no sucker, Kris. I think she is somebody that you can easily see if TK decides to pull the trigger, being a future AEW Women's Champion. But I think there's benefit in keeping Athena as the ROH World Champion because this is a brand that still needs to be established, right? Like who are these? Like when we watch Death Before Dishonor, like half of the people on that show, like we're like, are they ROH or are they just here, right? Are they part of this company or are they just visiting? And I think Athena is one of the people that gives this version of ROH an identity. And I think it's too soon to take the belt off her because, like Andrew said, you can put Willow in that spot, but why would you put Willow in that spot if she's only going to do something big in AEW? You know what I mean? Because then it kind of makes ROH look like the redheaded stepchild, even though they kind of are. But I think Athena gives them a presence.
Look like.
I was about to say, and then on top of that, with Willow, bro, like dude, the thing with Mercedes is still there. Like that is like right there in the. And honestly, bro, like again, I just said it. If Jamie Hayter is not cleared. And you got clear lane for All Out, and that past All In, past the London show, All Out the week after All In, you got that pay-per-view. If you were to do something as simple as Willow could possibly dethrone Toni Storm as the AEW Women's World Champion, the thing with that is like the reason I was about to walk that back is because like I don't necessarily know like Mercedes, like I would assume that anything that Mercedes right now would do with All Elite Wrestling would be somehow tied into New Japan Pro Wrestling. I think the sort of entry sort of messed that up a little bit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I definitely believe that at some point, like that, that Mercedes was going to sort of pop up at Forbidden Door and do something along those lines. But the injury, you know what I'm saying, probably derailed all that as far as we know. So, but I mean, I do agree with your point, Nate. And I definitely do that. I definitely do that. Ray made some solid points as well. You could definitely see either one of those going either way. But I think the thing with Athena is she lends so much credence to that ROH Women's division. Like, dude, she's been champion since December 2022. You got like 4 or 5 more months left until like she's like a full year away from champion. Like, and especially in today's wrestling landscape, people's attention span and their care for certain things dwindle so quickly. But like you have a talent like Athena, bro, who people are consistently invested in. Like they're invested in her on this ROH, man. Like that, bro. I'm not the only person who is saying that she's having the best run of her career. There are a lot of people saying that. She's saying that. Like, and for her to be on this trajectory since December 2022, maybe even before that, because this all started when she had that dark match against Jody Threat and she beat the shit out of her on that match. That shit was crazy. Like that's when all this started. And for her to carry that momentum to where at this point now where people are still saying literally the exact same thing about her, but just keep it going. Like just like, and I definitely understand Ray's point about like, she won, and then now what do you do? But you just keep doing the same thing that you've been doing. Line somebody up, and she knock them right back down, and then you line the person up, and then she knock them right back down, and then you just keep going until you find somebody else who can match the sort of level of popularity that a Willow Nightingale has, or just somebody that people will want to get behind enough to maybe take the title off of Athena. Shit, I think that just the thing that she was doing with Kiera Hogan on Ring of Honor, like if that was to get more exposure, I think that people might want to root for Kiera Hogan to get the W. Right. Because what was that? Athena been whooping her ass on ROH TV for like 4 or 5 months. You know what I'm saying? But like, but if you show that consistently and you tell that story, maybe Kiera Hogan might be the one. You know what I'm saying? But again, for Willow, bro, like I'm not trying to pigeon like I just see her as AEW Women's World Champion. I see Willow as future AEW Women's World Champion. There ain't nothing wrong with ROH. I'm not saying that, but I just see greater things ahead for Willow Nightingale. That's my whole thing about Willow.
Well, I don't disagree. I do think there is something wrong with ROH. At the moment.
Kris. They trying, Kris.
I'm sorry. I watch ROH. I have Honor Club.
Honor Club.
I think the problem with ROH is it's just not as strong of a brand as AEW. No. I'm kind of with Ray. I don't think there would have been anything wrong putting the belt on Willow. I think if you got a good baby face, you can find heels for them to fight. So but at the same time, I do think that ROH, the brand, I don't know what ROH is supposed to be.
Yeah,
even when
that was my point, Kris. Real quick, like I feel like I see what you're saying and what Ray was saying, but it's kind of like you putting a big fish in a tiny fishbowl. Like, what room does Willow have to kind of grow in that environment?
Yeah, it's like even when I watch ROH, it's a good show, but I just don't like the people, the WBD people don't even want it on any of their platforms. You know, this is a problem, man. It's like, and it's like if all ROH is going to be is developmental, I think that's perfectly fine. And I'd prefer it like that if they were just like, okay, you got to order Honor Club, and then that's how you watch ROH. But the brand that David Zasloff likes, that all the WBD people like, is AEW.
Yep.
And they got to figure out what ROH is going to be. I think that, and I don't really like. I guess the wrestlers are getting paid good regardless.
I'm about to say, Kris, most of them under those like AEW / ROH deals. So I mean, it's the same.
Yeah. So, but it's just it's just I've been even when I watch ROH and it's a good show, because it is a good show. I do like the fact that I can my problem with ROH for all of its existence is I had to find that thing, man. Like it was like it would be on TV out here in LA for a couple weeks, and it'd be off TV
like 3 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday.
Yeah. Then you sometimes would see it on YouTube. Then ROH would do a copyright thing and then be taken off of YouTube. At least now you know it's on Honor Club, and that's where you're gonna get it, and that's fine. But like the brand that you want to be on, if you're working for one of TK's properties, is AEW, one of the AEW shows. And I almost think that I don't want to say it does a disservice, because that's too strong of a word, but like I think Athena and Willow belong in front of the biggest audiences. However, I also think that as long as they're creatively fulfilled in ROH, that's a good thing as well.
And they're getting paid.
And they're getting paid, because the thing is, when when WWE, when they can't think of what to do with you, you are going to be losing on TV every week. So
your ass gonna be at home for a full year.
Yeah. So I at least like this ROH thing, but I just don't know I just do not know the purpose of the brand.
Like the identity.
Right.
Yeah. Outside of the tape library and stuff like that. And it's like, there's nothing wrong with ROH as far as a quality wrestling program, because it is. But as far as what
does it fit within AEW types?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's a great point, Kris. That's a great point.
That's it.
Yeah. That's
nothing too controversial.
All right, so next up, we got two more topics. We got 2 more topics left, because we're gonna do SummerSlam predictions, because the next time we talk, like, SummerSlam have been long gone by then. But just so you know, these two next things coming up. So we got potential names, fellas, that could be possibly heading to WWE. We got Brian Pillman Jr. and Nick Aldis. These are 2 of the names that people have been. They've been in the news, brother. they've been in the news. So Brian Pillman Jr., of course, he wrapped up with All Elite Wrestling. It was noted in the Wrestling Observer newsletter that he was present at the WWE Performance Center after he finished up with AEW. He recently did a virtual signing with Captain's Corner, and he said that he has a huge opportunity coming up in his career. And moving on to Nick Aldis. Aldis just finished up his run with Impact Wrestling. We just talked about he had that short stint with them. He said in the interview that he does not know what's next for him, but at the same time, whatever he does next, he just has to commit 100% to it. Of course, both of these names, there have been varying reports about WWE having interest in these specific individuals, having conversations with these respective individuals. Nate, I wanted to go to you first. Just a simple question, like, what do you sort of think about the ceiling for both of these individuals? You could be honest, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think Brian Pillman Jr. is about to be like taking over the world. Like this dude, like he said that he wanted a WrestleMania match against Steve Austin.
Yeah,
you know, I don't know about all that, brother. Like it took Kevin Owens, a Kevin Owens level wrestler, for Steve Austin to feel comfortable to be like, I'm cool with coming out of retirement. But like, I don't know about it, but I think he could be like a solid mid Carter. You know what I'm saying? If he well, let me just say this real quick. I definitely want to get to you, Nate. But I think one of the biggest mistakes that Brian Pillman Jr. does, bro, is he refuses to lean into the loose cannon persona that his dad did, because he doesn't want to be like that person who's like, oh, I'm leeching off my father. Bro, leech off that man. Like, you know what I'm saying? Bro, leech off of that man. But that is your father, bro. Like, look, I know, but I get it from his perspective. Like, when he's trying to be his own.
He wants to be his own man. Yeah.
Well, but as good as his dad, people will come for him. You know,
that is true.
But see, the thing is, like, his dad didn't get the chance to like fully like cash in on that loose cannon. Like it was dead, and it was good for like just even seeing like from what I saw from it, because like, I wasn't like fucking like aware enough to be like, you know, paying attention like the way I'm paying attention now.
You were still young watching Planet 51.
but I just think that he's like, but you don't have to like make a carbon copy of it, but like it's like right there. You got the same hairstyle, got the same look, like that is your father, bro. Like, if anybody got the right to steal from this man, it's you. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, just Nate, like, what do you think about the overall ceiling for both Nick Aldis and Brian Pillman Jr. if they were to make the jump to WWE?
Yeah, so if they were to make the jump, Andrew, I think it'd be really interesting. I think for Aldis, he's a dude. Again, TNA, Impact,
British Cody.
That's British Cody on these streets, man. That's British Devontae. Hello, Governor. I ended racism, mate. I think that when you look at Aldis, man, he's a dude that did good things in the NWA, man. Did good things in Impact. You know, speaking about the NWA, like, we see the champion that they got now, and that's all I'm gonna say. Like, one dude was a real champion, the other dude is like, he ain't hitting in New York. But I think with Aldis, if he does sign with WWE, I think that'd be cool for him, you know, from a financial standpoint. It would kind of bum me out, because he's somebody I always wanted to see like pop up at All In. You know, I think he would have been a great surprise at All In. But the thing with Aldis, though, man, is I don't know what his ceiling can be. I think, honestly, I think Aldis would honestly be better on NXT than the main roster, Andrew. I think he could kill it in NXT.
How old is Nick?
Aldis has got to be like,
he's almost 40.
Late 30s, early 40s, yeah.
I actually pulled it up. It says born November 1986.
Yeah, Aldis 36. He younger than Seth Rollins.
Okay, damn, he feels older.
Yeah,
like I guess he feels more mature.
Yeah,
but I think he started late in his career too.
Okay,
yeah. And Mickie James is a few years older than him too.
Okay.
That's his wife. So.
Okay, shout out to Nick Aldis and Mickie James. But yeah, I think now knowing that piece of information, I do think, like, you know what, maybe a little run in NXT, and then we bring him up to the main roster. I think Aldis is a good talker. His wrestling is solid. Like, it ain't great. It ain't gonna blow the doors off of anybody, but it's solid. You know, he can adapt to that WWE style. Pillman is the interesting one to me, Andrew. Because again, you know, WWE is kind of like Star Trek fans in the late 80s and in the early 90s, man. They love the next generation. They love somebody that's got a legacy attached to them. And they will give them a shot, even if they don't, you know, really deserve that shot, Ted DiBiase Jr. And they will see.
Stealing from the people of Mississippi.
Stealing from the people of Mississippi. We ain't forgot Ted DiBiase Jr.
Yeah.
You and your daddy.
Yeah.
Despicable. But I think that they'll give him a shot, and I think you're kind of touching on something, Andrew. I think him kind of leaning into that outlaw, that loose cannon personality, it could work depending on how they do it. Because I think there's a fine line between this is part of my legacy and I'm ripping my daddy off and I'm just being a carbon copy.
Like,
I think
have him pull out the Glock on TV.
Yeah. Pull out the blicky. I think that's.
On TV.
But I do wish him well, man, because I think that he had one or two good moments in AEW, but for the most part, he was just kind of there. Yeah. And then he wasn't there.
Yeah. And the thing about Brian Pillman, his dad was just such a iconic character in wrestling. He's somebody that only comes around like maybe once in a lifetime if you're lucky. He was, that voice, what I'm saying?
The raspiness,
just all of that. And I don't know if Brian Pillman necessarily needs to be trying to replicate that. Maybe he could do it in a way that makes it sets it apart from what his pop's doing.
Right. Take it to the next level.
Right. Again, I don't know what these wrestling companies already. It's because it's like, again, it's not like I can't say when AEW first came into existence. My whole thing with them is like, oh, they could take this guy that WWE's not using and make them a star. Take this woman that WWE's not using and make them a star. Mm-hmm. They haven't really done that. And WWE hasn't done that with any ex-AEW talent. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I don't know if that's where the wrestling industry is right now. I see Pillman going to WWE, maybe being okay, and maybe faltering.
Him and Braun Breaker gonna team up.
Yeah, exactly. Like something like that. I just don't have faith in WWE to do right by anyone. And that's not an offense to the wrestler. It's just I just don't. And it's more of an indictment of the wrestling industry as a whole, because I just don't think that the wrestling industry wants to take brands that aren't already established and do anything with them, It just doesn't seem like that's where it's at. It's like if Brian Pillman goes to WWE, if Pillman Jr. goes there, I could see him doing okay in NXT.
Hell, they might not even acknowledge his daddy. He might be Brian.
Yeah, exactly.
Brian Bukowski.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah. And even if he goes, NXT is not the company that it was.
His name would be just Pillman.
Just Pillman.
Pillman.
Yeah. And NXT is not the company that it was in like 2015, 2016. You know what I'm saying? It's not.
Right. We know it's your favorite brand, Kris.
Yeah. Oh, like now I can.
Hold on, Kris. Hold on, Kris. I know we in the middle of this Brian Pillman Jr. conversation, but the people need to know, how happy were you? We talked about one ex-con earlier with Dominik Mysterio. How happy were you to see your boy Tony D back on these streets, brother? He out here.
I mean, I don't like NXT. I watched the.
I'm about to say, Kris, don't let him bait you in, Kris. Get back to your Brian Pillman. Don't let him bait you.
Yeah. That's all I could say. Like I watched the stuff on NXT that people say to watch. I watched Wesley and Dominik. Yeah. I watched the stuff that I see people that I see trending. I can't sit through NXT. And like I said, if this was the NXT from 2015, I think Brian Pillman Jr. would be okay. I don't know now. You know, I just don't. Like, I hope that he does. I know a lot of people like him. I met him at a convention a while ago. Nice guy. Took multiple pictures with me. He's a good guy. But I just don't know what they like. I don't know what WWE is going to do with that guy, and I can't say I trust WWE. I don't trust WWE with anybody at the moment. And AEW, I barely super them. I don't know. I hate to be that guy.
This might be the weirdest super chat ever. Hansi, we see you, brother.
What do you say?
What do you think Cuckoo Cal is up to these days?
The My Projects guy?
My Projects guy, yeah.
My Projects.
That's a good song.
Where's from? Milwaukee?
Ain't nobody thought about Cuckoo Cal in like a decade at least.
All right, yeah.
Shout out to Hansi for the super chat.
Appreciate you playing.
Hey, but real quick, just to touch on Chris's point about and Nate's point about, you know, the Brian Pillman Jr. not leaning on his father's, like, not just being a carbon copy of it,
right?
Like, and again, going back to this, what we was talking about earlier with Dominik, but this is why I kind of give Dominik a little bit of credit, because he, like, being the son of one of the great, like, and again, Rey Mysterio is 100%. If Rey's not in your top 10 greatest wrestlers of all time, you trip. Like, he's somewhere in that list, that top 10, top 15. He is in there. Greatest wrestlers to ever walk this earth. Rey is up there. Like, for Dominik to be the son of one of the greatest wrestlers of all time and to be able to turn himself into something completely different from his father and thrive in it, that's props, bro, because that's a hard position to be in. Like,
ask David Flair.
That's a good. You can ask multiple second generation or third generation talents that struggle with that. Like, they had this identity crisis because their parents were these, like, massive figures in the sport, and they struggle. So that's why I kind of tend to give, like, that sort of props to Dominik, because he was able to flip that, turn heel, go a route that his dad didn't really go to, and, like, he's been able to thrive in that. So I'm like, yeah, that's cool. But, like, as far as Brian Pillman, like, I mean, the thing is, like, the only reason I say lean into the loose cannon thing is because, like, I haven't really seen, like, I mean, outside of the stuff he did at MLW when he was with the Heart Foundation, like, that worked. But, like, when I'm talking about stuff that'll be able to get him over in terms of, like, a WWE audience, but that might be your best bet. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't think people just gonna be buying, like, oh yeah, look, this is Brian Pillman Jr.'s son, and he's just happy and he's woohoo. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like he's just gonna need that little bit of edge. And what's he Anthony? He said Pillman's son got a gun. Pillman's son got a gun.
I don't know if I'm ready to use the word thrive with Dominik. I use the word get by.
Sometimes you gotta get by
personally.
I mean, I would say within the
right.
work that he's doing, I would say within the character work that he's doing. I ain't gonna say in ring, but character work.
You gotta walk before you can fly, Kris.
Not in ring work, but character work. He's thriving. But like, so we about to move on to the next thing real quick. This is a hot one. It's a high one if y'all ready to get on this.
Let's go. I don't know if the people ready for it.
Yeah, we gonna kick this over to Ray first. We're gonna let Ray get first. He our guest. But Ray, this is probably one of the well, I would say for a lot of people, one of the more frustrating stories over the last several weeks or the last week or so. That man Rick Steiner in WrestleCon, Detroit. So yeah, we're gonna give Ray the first crack at this. So Rick Steiner, just to give everybody a recap, Rick Steiner was booked for WrestleCon in Detroit. He's from Michigan, as everybody knows. This announcement that he was booked for WrestleCon was not well received at all, because at WrestleCon LA, he had an altercation with Jill Saw, Impact Wrestling talent. We all know Jill Saw. She came out publicly in 2022 that she was transgender. Congratulations to her, for coming public about that. I know she said on numerous podcasts that was like a hard decision to, go public with that, and she, brave enough to speak about it. They had an altercation at WrestleCon where Jill noted that Steiner referred to her as dude, filth, and called her a piece of trash in front of colleagues and fellow wrestlers alike. So WrestleCon owner Michael Buchicchio issued a statement explaining why Steiner was booked for WrestleCon. He noted that Steiner offered apologies in a private setting, and there were members of Impact that were at this private mediated event. Jill Shaw did not attend this event. She chose not to, which I 100% understand why she would not want to be there. And Kikyo noted in his announcement that I know it's easier to cancel people, to cancel people when they make mistakes rather than to forgive and help educate. However, sometimes I think it is important that we give people a second chance. That being said, Rick will forever be on a zero tolerance policy scale moving forward at any of our events. That same statement was not received well, and that led to it was ultimately decided to pull Rick Steiner from WrestleCon. They gave him a certain time frame to make a public statement, a public apology. That did not come. Ray, I'm pretty sure you've heard this just living through life in general. You disrespect somebody publicly, the apology got to be as loud as the disrespect. What did you think about this whole ordeal? How do you think that the initial handle of this whole situation came about? And honestly, I think it. I mean, of course, the show saw. I just want to add on that she did do an interview like a couple months ago, where she said that she was going to speak on this incident when she was further speak on it when she's ready, but she hasn't said really, she hasn't addressed it at all, like outside of that one instance. But like, just what do you think about WrestleCon handling it, and then it getting to a point where essentially like the backlash was just so crucial that they had to, pull Rick Steiner from WrestleCon, and they said they're gonna institute like their own policies now, like, and and it's all that stuff. But just your overall thoughts on how everything's unfolded and where we at this point now, Ray.
Well, I just feel like, first off, if you mention cancel culture in a statement, then you're already starting off on the wrong foot. And it always seems as though these companies, they have the chance, and I believe it's been said before, there's a difference between cancel culture and accountability, or cancel culture and correction, or cancel culture and people just facing consequences for their actions. It's like, give this man a consequence. Like, just because I said, I'm sorry I did that, and no one's looking, like you said,
I'm sorry if I offended anybody.
Yeah, right. Just as one Muffin Man once said, like you said, Andrew, the apology has to be just as vocal as the offense. It's like, and it's a shame that not only it was that the offense, but how Giselle, when she initially had the statement, I believe, was it on Instagram that she initially had the statement about this? Yeah. Not only, of course, what Rick Steiner did was wrong, but the fact that no one came to her defense. And I think that that's another thing within this. And we've seen it with the speaking out culture, or with the speaking out allegations and all that stuff coming out. It's just like women of all kinds, like, people need to be coming to women's defenses. People need to be coming to everyone's defenses. And it's just like, it's the culture that's being created in professional wrestling that's harboring somebody like a Rick Steiner, and that's allowing him to get away with stuff like this. And it was about to happen again, but then people stepped up and let out. And I think the founder of WrestleCon in the second statement said, "Oh, I spoke to this journalist from Outsports, and he made me realize." And now you're trying to get on that train with, "Oh, I talked to my friends, and now they made me realize that the importance of these actions." And now I think we need to make sure that Rick Steiner does not come back. It's like, I mean, of course, you luck up into a good decision, or people force your hand to do the right thing. And as long as the right thing gets done, a lot of people are going to be like, well, they did the right thing in the end. But just this thing being allowed to happen in the first place really shows that professional wrestling as a culture, whether it be within the wrestlers or former wrestlers, needs to start changing dramatically.
And real quick, Nate and Kris, before either one of y'all jump in, I just wanted to add this point in. It's not like this was like something that happened a year ago. This was like 3 months ago when this situation happened.
Right, it wasn't that long ago.
Right, exactly.
Go ahead, Kris.
So, here's the thing. I don't subscribe to because cancel culture, because no one ever gets canceled.
Yeah.
But there is a such thing as pile-on culture.
Okay.
Like if you do something bad, people on the internet are gonna pile on top of you, and it just is what it is. I don't have an issue. Yeah, and I don't have an issue with the WrestleCon person making that statement. I think the problem that I have with him more than anything else is he made the statement before he saw if Rick Steiner was willing to do a public apology.
Mm-hmm.
Me and Rick Steiner, he's someone that I communicate with on LinkedIn on a semi-regular basis.
Okay.
Not even semi-regular basis, like a couple times a year, because he's a part of the school board in Cherokee County, Georgia. Mm-hmm. Now, if you look up the demographics of Cherokee County, it is a white-topia, except it's like a white-topia with a lot of poor racist white people out there.
You could have fooled me by the name. Like the name doesn't fit at all, Kris.
Right. So the thing is giving Rick Steiner's position on the Cherokee County School Board, it might not be beneficial to him to give a public apology, which whatever. Because I believe in apologizing when you F up, but you can't just say you can't release that statement and then this guy doesn't even want to come out and do a public apology because he doesn't, for whatever reason. I'm assuming because he doesn't want to piss off parents in the school board. That's my guess. And again, we do live in a culture where if like when Kevin Hart did like that stuff with his stand-up special came out some years later, he was getting piled on. And he didn't handle it the best way. He didn't get canceled because he's got shows and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But it's just that I think where people make the mistake is looking at a pile on like a cancellation. The people that get canceled are the people who don't want to show any kind of accountability for anything. You know what I'm saying? It's like Roseanne, people like that who, and even her, she still has her redneck fans, and ABC paid her a ridiculous amount of money.
I ain't even go front, Kris, with that interview where she's like, I thought the bitch was white. I thought she was white. Like, it's racist as hell, but it's funny as hell to me, too.
Yeah, it is. It's Cynthia Garrett. And and that was Cynthia Jarrett, rather. And it's unfortunate, you know, that we can't, like, that people like that still exist. If Rick Steiner actually was willing to come out and do that, I think that, like I said, I think the biggest issue with that guy, and why is his name escape me? But I think his biggest issue was not allowing Rick Steiner to give the apology before just welcoming him back on. And this is just right. This just goes to like how white people are so fast to forgive other white people. You know, it's like you're just willing to just let this guy come back and just he messed up and
without
all this
any accountability.
I do appreciate them putting rules in the byline, because if the presidency of Donald Trump has taught us anything, is if rules are not outright stated, people are going to disobey him. That's what happened with Donald Trump when he was president. The Constitution has a lot of gentle ladies agreements in it, and Donald Trump is not a gentleman. He is a piece of shit, and he disobeyed all that. And he didn't. He's like, I don't have to do this because there's no rule saying I have to do it. Yep. You know, and you do need rules, and that's one of the things that we talk about in business psychology often. Is once you make it a rule, there's no excuse for you to let this stuff go by, you know. And it wasn't a rule, and it's a fucked up thing that we live in a society where these rules have to be outlined and stated like that, but they do, because people run amok. You know what I'm saying? They think they could get away with this kind of language. They think they could go like publicly embarrass somebody and that kind of thing, you know?
Yeah.
It's unfortunate that we live in a society where you have to make it a rule to not be a piece of shit human being.
Right.
But you do.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. And
hold on, Ray, real quick. We're just gonna leave it on this one solo shot real quick for the people watching live and the people watching in the future. This is why you book the Professor Kris Ealy on your wrestling program, ladies and gentlemen, because he brings knowledge. Thank you for that, Kris.
Yeah,
thank you.
Dropping that political science on us once again.
I had no idea like the political aspect of this in terms of Rick Steiner and the school board, because that was something I didn't even think of.
Yeah. Well, I looked at, because like I said, I communicate with him often. I don't think at his core he is a piece of crap.
Shit, I do.
But when you live in a county like Cherokee County, again, look at the demographics of that place, and you are appealing to that school board, these people will gas you up into thinking that this is the right way.
Rick's fighting a good fight. Rick's doing this for the kids.
Right. Yeah, exactly. You know, and it's just like, and you become too proud to even want to do a public apology. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to do any of that stuff.
Like even with this whole situation, like the whole thing is, this all could have been avoided if you just shut the fuck up. I'm talking about just in general, like from Gishelle's statement. This was like some unprovoked, like random occurrence that just just random, you know what I'm saying, and said these things to her. You know what I'm saying? Like, we are in, again, I know people say this a lot, but like, bro, we are in 2023. You know what I'm saying? Like, for y'all to still be tripping over people being gay or people being transgender, like, bro, why do y'all care? Like, bro, that is like,
does it affect you?
Bro, out of all the shit, the serious shit in this world to be upset about, racism, the economy fucked up, people losing, like all of the teachers underpaid, teachers underpaid like a motherfucker, but all of these like real issues, bro. And like the thing that people choose to fixate on is to be hateful to someone because of their respective sexual orientation. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like the dumbest shit. I don't get it. But like Rick Steiner, as far as he goes, like I think the whole thing with the WrestleCon situation is just like, dude, like I had said it earlier, this was only 3 months ago. Like, this wasn't like something that happened like 2 years ago in the research. Like they to book him. And it definitely was a cash grab to get him in there for his hometown, because he's from Michigan. So it was a crash grab. The dude knew exactly what he was doing when he got Rick Steiner in there, especially knowing how the situation went. I think it's because Giselle saw she chose not to further speak on the situation, so it didn't get maybe further publicized past the initial statement. Like, again, she had did that interview where she said she was going to speak on it when she chose to, and she hasn't said anything about it yet. So I think that's why it kind of, well, maybe, you know, it's over now, or maybe it's sort of pulled over to the wayside. But like, I think with Rick, man, like, I think that this is a very strong lesson for the owner of WrestleCon and future situations. And, you know, he said that he's instituting
what's the owner's name again, Andrew?
Michael Bukikio. He owns House Pass too.
Okay,
stuff. Yeah, so he do that stuff. But I think it's a very valuable lesson to be learned here. Like I really would but I mean, I don't want to like be like rushing Giselle Saw to speak on it, but like I think it would be like nice to, you know what I'm saying, just to hear her whole side of this story, you know what I'm saying, like, and like just to hear further context from her. I think that always is helpful for the person on the receiving end. But you don't want to be all like, we need you to speak on this. You know what I'm saying?
It's one of those weird things, even if you're her, because it's like, what does speaking on this dude?
Right, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Right.
You're keeping his name.
Yep.
Like,
am I just opening myself up for more people to attack me?
I was about to say, Kris, just to add on to your point, because you had just brought something up. like it feel like this was becoming more about Rick Steiner than Giselle. Like it's like she's like the afterthought in the situation now. It's like she like when this happened to her, you know what I'm saying? It's, yeah.
And again, real quick, because I know Ray wanted to hop back in, but I'm gonna hop in real quick for my 2 cents on this.
Talk to him.
So first of all, well, you know, like you said, Andrew, we do need to show love to Giselle Shaw on this. Again, impact in the building. You know, Giselle Shaw, not only being brave coming out with this and living in her truth, but also like she's a damn good wrestler, man, a damn good performer. Like Giselle Shaw, brings it in the ring, and so to me, and I, hey, we say what we want to say on the NWA podcast on Post Wrestling. So I know there might be some people watching this in the future or listening in the future that might not agree. And all I'm going to say, Ray, is if you want some, come get some. And if you don't like me,
bite me.
Bite me. But I think when you look at this, there's two elements, right? There is this issue, they wanted to, the owner wanted to bring up the point of cancel culture. And to me, this is how twisted things are in 2023, where everything is political, even human decency, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Like Giselle Shaw is not asking for special privileges. Giselle Shaw is not asking to be elevated over somebody. Giselle Shaw is just like, hey, treat me like you would anybody else, man.
Oh, don't say shit to me.
Yes. You ain't even got to say nothing to me, dog face gremlin. Like, I don't even know you like that player.
Hey, Nate, real quick.
Go ahead, Andrew.
To your point. I just wanted to add to your point real quick. I hate when and I notice this a lot. This is what I see a lot of these comments from white people, bro. They not all white people, but I see this a lot from that specific demographic when they always refer to anything involving racism, like anything within that bubble. They be like, I don't want to talk about politics. What is political about this?
What is political about me?
Always see, that's the thing. It's like everything is political, it's always been like this. It's just, I think what happened is society they chose to turn a blind eye to it because George W. Bush was, say what you want about him, he was a halfway decent human being. He had a modicum of human decency. So did his
fool me once. You can't fool me again, Kris.
Yeah. So did his pops, Reagan, you could argue the same thing. The MAGAs, the Trump people, they got no human decency. They don't. Nobody wants to come right out and say it.
Speak on
Hillary Clinton was right when she called these people deplorables because they're fucking deplorable.
Woo.
They do not want to move with society. It should never be like this. These people they're not even trying to win elections anymore. They're trying to steal elections. They're trying to take away everybody's rights. And there was a time when if you wanted to win an election, you would just be the most popular person and you'd win that way. Now it's about, let's take away your rights. Let's gerrymander the F out of everything and make it so you can't vote. And now it's spilled over into other areas. So people are like, oh, this, why do you got to make everything political? You're making it political by talking about this woman and her being transgendered, and you purposely hitting below the belt. You're going for the jugular. Mm-hmm. You are doing this. You are saying this stuff so you can hurt this person's feelings. Exactly. No other reason. You are not saying this because you care about society or you care about the fucking children. That is bullshit. You are doing this because you want to hurt people. Yes. You want to make people cry. You want to bring them down to your horrible, shitty level. And that's it. Plain and simplicity of it.
What you got, Nate?
Yeah, so to finish up my point again, shout out to Kris for everything that he just said, man, because at the end of the day, it should just come down to human decency, right? Mm-hmm. And so when you bring it back to this WrestleCon situation, I think Kris is 100% right when it's like the mistake is not in, him being like, I talked to somebody and they changed my point of view. It's like he was so quick to bring Rick Steiner back in because he knew Rick Steiner was going to bring in them dollars. right? He was so quick to bring this man back into the fold because he knew that was where the bag was. And it wasn't until public pressure, right? It wasn't until the bag was affected that he's like, oh, let's do the right thing, everybody, and let's set some rules in place. And so to me, it's like we need to get to a place, like not just in the wrestling industry, but in life, like in America. Like let's start with America and then figure everything else out. Like in America, we need to get to a place where, and I'm glad Kris brought up the examples of, George W. and Papa Bush, because there was certainly political division back then, Andrew, but there was at least a show, at least an attempt at where we have differing opinions, and I might not like you personally, but there's a level of decorum in our discussion. There's a level of decorum in our discourse, and we don't have that anymore. And a lot of that is because of who our last president was and the kind of energy that he brought to the stage. And
that motherfucker unlocked a whole course of
you talk about the Judgment Day unlocking levels. Donald Trump unlocked a lot of levels in this country, Andrew. And again, like it's not because we know
he gave people the confidence to make it feel like he could just be openly
if he can do it, I can do it.
That's what I don't understand. Like I've heard black people say, I like when racist people are in my face. I was like, no, I like it when racist people feel shame for being racist.
Yes.
That's what I like. I don't ever want you to think racism
don't ever be comfortable being racist around me.
Yeah, I don't want you to be comfortable being that way.
No, I cannot stand hearing fellow black people will say that shit. They be like, oh, but why well, at least I know they racist. Why the fuck do you want them to be racist?
Yeah, like you'll know they're racist anyway. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? Racist people are horrible at hiding racism. They don't have to call you the N-word for you to know that they're racist. You can just see it in their actions,
Yes. And that was what a lot of people were saying about 45. They was like, well, I don't like what he says, but at least he keeping it 100.
Sometimes you ain't got to keep it that 100.
Man, stop twerking for that stimulus check, man. That's what they doing, man. You twerking for that stimulus check. You know what I'm saying? That man put $1,500 on the table, man. Got people
people acting crazy.
But just on all of you guys just made great points about that. Like I cannot. That is one of my biggest pet peeve, bro. When I hear black people say that, when they be like, well, we know they racist, but I mean, at least we know it and we could be comfortable with it. I'm like, what you want to be comfortable with that shit?
Well, and the level, and here's the other thing, Andrew, because I think there was a time, like maybe 25 years ago, where you could kind of make that statement. But the way that I want to be known that they're racist, the way they letting you know today is far more loud, than it was 25 years ago. Like. They ain't ashamed of it. There's no remorse. There's no compunction. They're like, oh, hey, I'm racist and I'm proud of it.
That's what I'm saying, bro. Like,
in the school board in Florida right now at that one school board, they are teaching children that there were some benefits to slavery. That they learned different stuff. African people already knew how to do shit before they became slaves. It's just they became they had no choice but to become more ingenuitive when you made them slaves. And this is where people get it twisted. This is a wrestling industry problem as well. Because I was listening to Bruce Pritchard, not Bruce Pritchard, Dr. Tom Pritchard. And Dr. Tom Pritchard, I think he's a good guy. I've met him a couple times. But when they were having a conversation about JYD, and they were saying, was Bill Watts a racist? And then Dr. Tom Pritchard, well, he can't be racist because he pushed JYD.
That's the one they always go to.
Champ and all this other stuff. And that's not what being racist is. You can push a guy and make sure you make money. A black guy can overcome the racism of the
Bill Watts was from Oklahoma, and that man came up in the 1940s. Get the fuck out of here.
Right. It's like you can, just because you overcome racism and you turn a character like JYD into an enduring personality. doesn't mean that he wasn't working for a racist infrastructure.
Right. Hey, Kris, real quick on your point, bro, which I think is great. But like when people try to throw around that thing, well, you know, they help X, Y, and Z black person. They do this for B, Y, and C black person. You know what I'm saying? Like, and you always get these individuals. Like you haven't been around, like you have been around somebody like who like I've been in like certain scenarios or one that I can recall where like an individual was like making like subtle like I guess like hip hop references like unnecessarily. And you know what I'm saying? You know when people do like weird shit like, especially like when you hear that shit from white people, it's like weird ass comments that they make. And it's like saying shit that they think you will like, you know, just making like, you know, not to that extreme, but like, you know, like just think things adjacent and akin to that, and you just looking at them like, what the fuck you say that to me for? You know what I'm saying? Like,
when keeping it real goes wrong.
But yeah, man, like just on this whole conversation, bro, like I've always been of the mindset, like even back when I was in high school, bro, like just leave people the fuck alone, bro. If you don't want nobody mess with you, bro, that leave people the fuck alone. I mean, again, I'm very much not that fucking naive to believe that if you just leave people alone, that they gonna leave you. And that's definitely not how the world works. Like, you know what I'm saying? People will fuck with you and shit just be like that sometimes. But like when you're a fully grown adult that are aware of your circumstances and aware of your environment and aware of what's going around you, like it's not that hard to just leave people the fuck alone or stay out of their way or don't say nothing to them at all. No. It's really not like people. But see, the thing is, like what I realize about a lot of these, like either you racist or you homophobic or transphobic or whatever, it's like these motherfuckers be having like these burning desires to like say these things and go on these absurd tangents. And I'm like, dude, it's like, again, I'm gonna repeat what I said earlier. It is so much like other things in this world, not even other things, so many things, like real issues to be upset about in this world, but you upset about somebody over their respective preference like that. Like
and Kris knows the numbers better than me, Andrew, but it's when you have 40% of the country maybe that feels like this is a culture war. Like this feels like the woke mob is coming to get me.
What does that shit even, the woke? What the fuck does that even mean? You know,
they don't even know.
It's a term that they've used. That what they've done is they've taken that word and they've used. They don't, since they can't say the N-word.
Basically,
woke is their N-word nowadays.
The woke Little Mermaid.
Yeah, that's what they want to say.
But even on that, but like that's so. But I've never seen so many people like I'm in uproar about.
Bro,
when the fuck y'all start caring about the Little Mermaid? You know what I'm saying? Like, people, I'm talking about motherfuckers is like upset. What was that?
They were complaining.
Was it Halle Bailey?
Yeah, Halle Bailey. Halle Bailey. Like, I'm talking about like upset about. I'm like,
Tucker Carlson was on his talk show complaining that they made the green M&M less sexy. You know, like that was a real complaint. He's like, why'd you have to take off her high heels and lipstick
and put her in sneakers?
Yes. Is this what we're doing now?
You know, Tucker just sitting there every time the M&M commercial. Come on, Milton, your mouth not in your hand, girl. What we got next, Andrew? Let's get off this.
So those are the culture war issues that we're dealing with now.
Yes,
that is one of our favorite discussions. And this is the cap it off. I think I can say this for all of us. We with you, Jashelle. We with you, man. We with you. We with you. We rocking with you. We standing with you. You know what I'm saying? Keep it going. Fighting a good fight and fuck these people. There you go. That's how you carry it. So we're gonna move on to the last thing. We just do this real quick. SummerSlam preview coming up in Detroit, full field. You know what I'm saying?
Everybody gonna be there except for Rick Steiner.
Everybody gonna be there. Everybody gonna be there except for Rick Steiner, man. But
we got a super chat from somebody.
Oh, yeah, let's pull that up. Let's pull that up.
Okay. Let's go to the
pull that up.
Bam.
So we got a super chat from Hansi. Appreciate the super chat, Hansi. Shout out to you, brother. He said, I've enjoyed this portion of the podcast as someone brought into ignorance through shock jock, edgelord stuff. It's hard to break free from it. And I think that's big on Hansi to admit that, man. I think that's big to admit that.
It's true. Like the thing is like people like their habits. You know, that's people. We are not by nature. Human beings are not creatures of change. We like doing things the way it goes. We like status quo. That's why people stay in jobs that they hate forever, not because they love the job, but because
it's all I know.
Change is scary, you know. So I mean, I get it, but we still we can't give any like credence to certain kinds of toxic positions anymore. This is 2023, you know. It's not the old days, but we appreciate.
And even the good old days weren't so good, Kris.
Exactly. That they were good for the people that they needed to be good for. You know, don't even talk to my uncle about the 1960s and 70s. He ain't gonna have nothing good to say about that shit outside of the music.
Yes. So, real quick though, Andrew, I want to send a shout out to Hansi because to that point, like I think when you do have people that can realize and recognize, like, yo, some of the stuff I was saying 5 years ago, 10 years ago, some of the things I thought might not have been the right thing, and they can grow from that. I think that's a big thing, man. So I got a lot of respect for that, brother Hansi.
And I've gone through that myself. I'm from the 90s, man. I'm from the ain't no fun if the homies can't have none era. You know, if everybody was the era that I come from, anything went. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And it's not until you start hanging around with other people and you start enlightening yourself until you get out of
diversifying yourself, man.
It's not an easy thing for everybody to do, but for me it's a necessary thing to do. It's a survival technique to understand how do I get along in a society that's evolving around me. I don't want to be left behind in a cultural fire heap in the back, you know.
But I think for me, bro, being in like evolved to pro wrestling has like helped like just sort of shape my worldview in a positive way, and like just understand people have different experiences and understand that people have these different life circumstances that they go through, and like that I would probably never experience, or you know what I'm saying, just hearing a lot of people different stories, bro, and just being around a variety of different people, like it does help sort of give you that sort of worldview and understand that shit is so much more layered than just the city that you grew up in or the state that you grew up in or the shit that you've seen throughout your lifetime. It's people that
a whole big world out there.
It's people that have been through 10 times shit worse than you 10 times over that you would probably never go, and these motherfuckers be walking around with a smile on their face like ain't nothing happening to them. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like I think me being like just being involved in wrestling and just seeing a variety of different things, I think this has helped shape my work. So definitely shout out to Hansi for
so hold on, Andrew. So what you're saying is hard times make better men.
The Cody reference.
The Devontae is trying to teach us.
You want to know what's funny? He is the first person on this SummerSlam preview. this SummerSlam preview, and Nate, it's only fitted, Nate, that we go. So this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna go Nate, Kris, and then Ray. You're gonna wrap us off with the predictions. So we're gonna go Nate first. We got Cody Rhodes versus Brock Lesnar, a rubber match. Cody beat Brock at Backlash. Brock beat Cody at Night of Champions. Nate, I want to hit you with a two-parter. So who do you think wins this third match? And then on top of that, it seems like Nate, Kris, we was talking about this in the podcast, and Ray, I'm pretty sure you've discussed it just in your circles about pro wrestling in general with Cody Rhodes. It was like him losing at WrestleMania. I still think that was the wrong decision, me personally. Yeah. But where we at now, seeing Cody, like this dude is like still maybe even hotter than he was at WrestleMania. And like I'm looking at it, and it seems like all signs are pointing to Cody Roman 2 at Philly, Nate. That's just what it seems like for right now. So Nate, I just want to ask who do you think is going to win this match between Cody and Brock, and how in the hell are you supposed to keep Cody Rhodes hot from right now until assumingly like WrestleMania is like January and stuff like that? Because like Nate, I'm saying I got a bad feeling, bro, that we gonna get Cody versus Bray Wyatt, and that's just gonna tank every fucking thing.
If anybody can sell a Mountain Dew pitch black match, it's that man Cody Devontae Rhodes, Andrew.
I will not drink the goddamn. Well, you know what I'm saying? Cody doing this thing, but Nate, just your overall thoughts about that and how WWE can possibly keep Cody hot for the next 4 to 5 months until they so they could get him and Roman back in the same circumference.
Yeah, so I'll start off the statement by saying, kind of like what we talked about with Sid from True Hill Heat, shout out to SP3, on the last episode of Kings of Sport. Like, I'll preface all of this by saying that I feel like they did make the wrong decision by not pulling the trigger on Cody at Mania, and you could tell this exact same bloodline breakdown without the WWE belt, right? Like, Roman can still have the Universal belt, and you can still tell his story without, having Cody lose. But in terms of the Cody Brock stuff, I think it's been pretty good. They told a pretty good story. They even had, Brock come down to the A and beat this young brother Cody down in front of his mama. And I feel like, if Brock wins, man, then he is, the melanin destroyer. Because we just can't beat this man. We need a cheat code, a contra code, or something to be able to defeat this brother once and for all. But I think Cody wins, man. Should be a good match, a hard-hitting match. I don't agree, again, Kris, with the idea of, we got to put this guy through even more adversity to make him feel like a legitimate champion. But I've enjoyed most of what they've done with the Brock storyline.
Right. I would have given the belt to Cody also at WrestleMania. But I'm not somebody that needs to, like, the facts are facts. WWE at this present moment in time is the hottest it's ever been. And I'm looking at every single metric at the moment. Even if you go back to 1988, the week that the WWE main event got 33 million viewers watching wrestling, the most viewers ever, that rating will probably never be beat. WWE wasn't even number one in that time slot for Friday night. Do you want to take a guess what beat it on Friday night in the ratings?
You said what year was this?
This was 88.
God, that show was Thursday.
So Thursday shows beat it too. But we're talking Friday. What beat it on Friday night?
Up All Night with Rhonda Shear.
So
it's a throwback right there.
Shout out to the girl Rhonda Shear, wherever she is. I don't even know if she's still with us.
Think primetime soap opera.
Oh, Dynasty.
Close.
In 88?
The other D show.
Dallas?
Shout out to John Pollock.
Yeah, Dallas beat that on Friday night. The other shows that beat it that week, Who's the Boss beat it. Bill, the Cosby Show beat it. A Different World beat it.
Oh, snap! Shout out to Hillman College.
Yeah. So so that's just the amount of people that were watching television. The ratings for WWE wasn't 33 million, but it was the number one show on television a few weeks ago. They can never take that claim. They've never done that before. So you have to put these things in perspective of the time frame. You could say, oh yeah, they didn't have 33 million viewers. No, but it was number one for the week. So they have struck. My problem with the bloodline stuff is I'm personally tired of it, but I do understand why you ride this until the wheels fall off.
No numbers crazy.
Yeah. And I think that Cody Rhodes should beat Brock Lesnar. I don't know if Brock Lesnar has the same luster that he used to have. I'm not saying that Brock Lesnar is a nobody. His name still means something. Yeah. But I just think that
Cody feel like a bigger deal to him.
Yeah, he does. I agree.
So Chris. So Nate, you got Cody.
Yeah, so 2 for Cody, and to your point about WrestleMania, as much as I hate it because it's a long time away, man. I do feel like they're gonna drag this out to Philly.
I might, but So what you thinking, Ray?
I think I'm gonna make it At least so far, I'll make it unanimous. I think Cody's going to get the win because it's
always bet on
similar.
Black Ray.
Yeah, I know, right?
The king of the South. shout out to that man Phil Lindsay. That's his joke right there. Shout out to Phil.
Yeah, shout out to Phil, man.
Magic City gonna be rocking once he
yeah, that's where the championship celebration needs to be, Magic City.
But I'm just thinking, and I kind of like how I was kind of posing it with Athena earlier. It's like, if Brock wins, then what do you do with him? He's done everything you needed him to do. It's like, how do you develop that character? And then how it's like even more hard times. It's like, now you're going to have Cody come out with the Homelander with the polka dots. You might as well if he ends up losing this time. But I think he's going to get the victory. I actually think you have to get him against Seth Rollins for that championship.
We'll talk about that in a second because I might have a different opinion on that.
Hey, Ray, you want to know what's funny about what you just said? Like, I kind of feel like they've been avoiding it, and I feel like now after Brock, it's gonna be like, you can't keep like avoiding this shit. Right. Like you at some, and the thing about it is, and I'm pretty sure Ray, you probably gonna say the same thing. One of these motherfuckers gonna have to lose.
Yeah,
both of them. Somebody is gonna have to lose. And look, see, this is the thing. What Cody's lost like what, twice since he's been back? He lost like twice, 2 matches, 2 televised matches since he's been back. He's beaten Seth Rollins 3 times. Yeah, right. Maybe it won't hurt to get one of them wins back. You know what I'm saying? Maybe it won't. Like, see, the thing about Cody, like I don't think it's going. What do you think, Ray? Do you think it's going to hurt Cody if he loses Seth Rollins? Like, do you think it's going to hurt him at all if he loses Seth? Like, to get one loss against the dude he beat three straight consecutive times. He beat him at WrestleMania, beat him at Backlash, beat him at Hell in a Cell with a damn torn pec. Like, do you think that him losing to Seth Rollins in the middle of Rollins' World Championship reign is going to hurt Cody?
I don't think it's going to hurt, but again, it's like, what do you do with him afterwards?
Yeah,
I think it does hurt him a little bit, only because I think Cody Rhodes is a more serious character than Seth Rollins at the moment.
That's true. That's true.
I think Seth Rollins is kind of a jokey kind of dude, and Cody Rhodes is a guy who I think he brings an air of seriousness to WWE television at the moment that not too many other talents bring outside of like maybe the Usos and Roman. I think Seth Rollins, I don't think it'd be the worst thing in the world if he beat Cody, but I just think Cody's got to be
like fucking indestructible or the way.
You got to be very careful.
I just wouldn't have him losing to Seth at the moment.
Hey, Kris, just to add on, like, Kris, what, like, I know it's like hard to think on the spot, like, just about, but like, do you think it might benefit? Like, I don't want to be doing like the whole like work injury thing, but like, dude, like, what do you do with Cody after Brock? Like, what you gonna have him feud with like some random motherfucker?
Well,
like,
this is why I say that there's a babyface problem in wrestling, because Cody Rhodes, it shouldn't be anything. I think the worst question we should be asking is, what do you do to him after he beats somebody? Cody should be beating everybody right now. It's not that, like, Hulk Hogan. I've seen WrestleManias where Hulk Hogan was feuding with King Kong Bundy, where he was feuding with people that had no business
Ray Traylor on these streets
with him. Like, he was in main events feuds with Hercules Hernandez, with all these different cats that were just not on his level. But if they're a strong enough babyface, it doesn't matter. Stone Cold Steve Austin, he was look at the people he was feuding with outside of McMahon and The Rock. He beaten like just lames he had no business even being in feuds with, but because he was in a feud with these people, and all people cared about with Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock is them beating people's ass.
Mm-hmm.
That was
and being
it.
strong, yeah.
I think when you start asking, what are we doing after, we are overthinking things. Mm-hmm. Cody Rhodes should just be beating every fucking body. And it should be the end of the road. That should be the end of the conversation.
Mm-hmm. Hey, real quick. I want to pose this question to like all of y'all. This is what y'all think. So let's say, let's just play with the scenario, right? Mm-hmm. It coming out of this Brock feud, it is Bray Wyatt, right? And then, like, see, the thing is, right? So we look at the people who have feuded with Bray and then have come out somewhat recovered. Like it took Seth Rollins a minute, to bounce back. LA Knight recovered. Mm-hmm. LA Knight recovered. Mm-hmm. He recovered in a great way. He recovered in a great way. I think it just depends on how you lay this thing out. And again, but the LA Knight thing, like I think the build to it was like semi decent. The match was fucking like that pitch, but I don't know what the fuck that was. Like that was what that was. But he came out strong in the end. I'm just curious, like, just to see, like, because the thing with Kris said, I think Kris got a fair point, and everybody said it. Like, I think Cody should remain strong all the way through up until you can get him and Roman back on screen together. But that's like 4 to 5 months from now. Right. Like, you gotta keep this dude in a prominent position. And I think that Cody has built up enough equity within the audience just from his first run at WWE, him going to AEW and him coming back and people loving this dude and they going crazy. But you be seeing these children in the front row when he be giving them well done, motherfuckers act like they just got the blessing from God. They just got, it was a lady this past Monday on Raw. Her thing Cody gave her daughter the weight belt, but this lady was screaming like that shit was hilarious. But I think more so it's just like, I think most of I'm just looking at the people available right now that can feud with Cody enough to, like, you know what I'm saying, just make it a little bit of but I think also, like, to go piggyback on Kris' point, I think that Cody is a big enough talent to where he can uplift these individuals who may not be on that same level, and people may not care about these people that he's feuding with, but they care about Cody enough to care about the individual that he's in the ring with. So I mean, I definitely get that point. But yeah, we're gonna say Cody gonna beat Brock. Next up, we got the WWE World Heavyweight title. We got Seth Rollins defending against Finn Balor. I think Finn's about to get the W. I think Finn's about to end this title reign for Seth Rollins, and especially because Seth, he had recently did an interview, Nate, with Logan Paul, and he had said something that I didn't know. He said that he'd been dealing with lower back problems since 2019.
That's what I was gonna bring up.
And he said that he should get surgery. And like when you start saying stuff like that, you know what I'm saying? It's like, you know, so what you thinking, Nate?
Yeah, because that to me was the biggest thing, Andrew, in terms of Seth's physical health, because we got to remember the whole reason we made this new championship is because this is going to be the workhorse championship, right? Mm-hmm. So you can't put the workhorse championship on a dude that needs surgery because he ain't going to be around. Mm-hmm. Right. So to me, I think the play is that Finn gets the belt. But then the question is, what do you do with Damian Priest, right? Because that, to me, is a bigger part of the story where we've got the Judgment Day, who they have positioned as like the number 2 story, or the number 2 group in this company after the Bloodline. To me, I think, you know, you put the belt on Finn, and then you see where that goes. And, you know, let Seth heal, man, because this brother's been doing some good work for the past 2 years, man. You know, he had a 5-star classic with that man Omos in Puerto Rico, like, you know, Chris's favorite match of the year. You know, he's been doing work. So yeah, let the brother rest.
Yeah. I'm a fan of Seth Rollins wrestling. I don't like the character at the moment. But I do think that it's probably time for Finn Balor to win, and then he can move into his feud with the homie Punishment Martinez. and is this a super chat?
No, this is just a regular chat. We gonna take it.
He said I feel like Finn will lose just so they can continue the Judgment Day tease with every other member having a title or briefcase, but not the leader. That's an interesting scenario about Balor. But like the thing with Finn, like, I mean, I like Finn, he been losing, so like Finn hasn't been losing a lot, but like he can't get over the hump that is Seth Rollins, and I feel like maybe it might be time for him to finally get that W over
Right,
Roman.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It might just be that time. What are you thinking, Ray?
I agree with you, Andrew, and I think it'll kind of turn that perception that one young doctor like to say with the Judgment Day only being held on, or the Judgment Day dragging down Rhea, where now you have one of your main champions in there, and now it's like, and I was saying it before, it's like, how many times are you going to get beat by somebody? How many, and then still think that they're a viable option to at least be contending for the championship? And it's like, when is Finn going to get his lick back? And I also, with Andrew, I didn't even realize all the stuff that was going on with Seth as far as like the lower back issues.
Yeah.
So I think it'll be a good time to have the belt change hands. I think as you posed before, Nate, with that intrigue of whether or not Damian Priest is going to be loyal, kind of how people were teasing. I know Wade came up with an idea with Sami Zayn doing a similar thing when he was in the Bloodline with winning the Money in the Bank, and then like, you know what? I'm going to put the Money in the Bank. I'm going to leave it at home. I'm not even going to bring it on the road. I'm just going to protect you, my tribal chief. And so kind of like Damian Priest doing a similar thing where it's like, I'm going to hold the Money in the Bank briefcase, but you know that since we're together, I'm not going to, I'm just going to keep the peace. But still throwing in those little hints of dissension here and there. And I was also thinking about, and kind of going back to the last match, whatever happens if Cody wins, you can either throw the person that I'm thinking of either against Cody or against whoever comes out as champion. And shout out again to Lio Rush, Lashley.
Hey, real quick, hey, why be on? I'm so glad that Ray, keep the camera on Ray, Nick, because I'm gonna throw this right back at him. I'm gonna throw this right back. Hey, Ray, what was your initial thoughts when you saw the segment with Lashley and the Street Profits, and him having these backstage meetings with these individuals, man? Like, you think it's looking like we about to get another Hurt Business, but like, what do you think about the Street Profits being added into the fray? Like, how they fit in? Could you see us like a heel Street Profits, or do you think like because I mean, looking back at when the Hurt Business was originally started, they weren't really like heel.
No,
they were kind of just like cool dudes. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they didn't really seem like heels. They just seemed like people that just were standing for bullshit. Like, that's just what it was. So what do you think about the idea of a new version of the Hurt Business, but with Lashley and the Street Profits at the epicenter of this new version?
Well, I think it'll, of course, is going to elevate the Street Profits, because, of course, they've been winning tag championships ever since they came out of NXT.
Yeah,
and
they did all that.
Yeah, they've been regarded, and especially we all know that Montez Ford is the real deal. We all know that, but now that people are starting to see his partner, I keep blanking on names, but his partner,
Dawkins.
Yeah, Angelo Dawkins. He's growing as a performer as well, and so, and I think with these guys, they're a little bit more established than, say, a Shelton Benjamin and a Cedric Alexander. So I think they're going to elevate. They're going to be elevated a bit more, and they're also going to prop up Bobby Lashley a bit more. But I don't know, man. I mean, you got. I hate to say it, but
it's something about that original Hurt Business.
Yeah.
Hey, they dropped the ball on that.
You got to keep putting the Black Brothers. You got.
Look, did New Jack City not teach you anything, Ray? CMB, we got Ray. We got to stick together in this minefield of the WWE universe.
Man, what's the name? The Montez and Angelo about to get the Hurt Business rub, and Cedric and Shelton on the main event.
I know.
Yeah, they did the Hurt Business dirty, man.
But then don't let their group start growing, and then doggone Dr. Kris gonna get on here like, oh, y'all holding Montez Ford back.
Yeah.
Damn.
I'm not even getting excited about this stuff. I like the segment. I do not trust WWE at the moment. I would rather be pleasantly surprised than making guesses about the possibilities of what could be. I don't like my dreams deferred. So
yes,
I'll see where this goes and then make a judgment.
Let it play out.
Let it play out.
Let it play out. So we're gonna go to the next one. We got a triple threat for the WWE Women's Championship. We got Asuka, the champion, defending against Charlotte Flair and defending against Bianca Belair. Bianca, of course, coming off her John Cena run. She just came off her her John Cena run. Hey, Nate, what do you think is gonna happen on this match? And of course, we got to mention Io Sky is Miss Money in the Bank.
That part. So to me, Andrew, I don't think any of those three women is leaving with the belt. I think it's going to be Io's time. Because, whenever they do the Money in the Bank, they always have one that kind of cashes in early and one that holds
it always the women. It's always the women who cash in.
Yep. I feel like we're going to get Io cash in. I don't know. I don't know who's are we going to have a winner of the match proper or is,
You want to know what I think? I think that they're going to give the win to Charlotte so she could be 16. I think she had 15 right now. I think they're gonna give the win to Charlotte. People will be pissed off because they like, they pushing Charlotte again.
Right.
Io is gonna get an automatic pop because you know what I'm saying? Because it's Charlotte.
Yep.
And then Charlotte will be one step. That'll be their way to get Charlotte one step closer to 17 without having to go through one full title run again.
Yeah.
They be on that. They be on that bullshit. You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying?
But you see the vision.
But I definitely think that's what's going to happen. I think that Charlotte is going to pin probably Asuka. She's probably going to pin because honestly, bro, I think that the end goal for this is either I think it's going to be Bianca and Charlotte at Mania 40. I think they've been holding on that for 2-3 years. That's the match. I think that they trying to. They trying to do as much with these two on screen together without having them go one-on-one.
Yeah,
and I think we'll see Charlotte versus but Charlotte is the only horsewoman that Bianca hasn't beat. Bianca beat Sasha, she beat Mercedes, she beat Becky, she beat Bayley
multiple times.
She wouldn't bear the ass all 2022, but she the only Charlotte's the only one she hasn't beat yet. So I think that we will get Charlotte with the W.
Yeah,
unfortunately,
I like that.
But what I would hope for is Asuka to just lose the title straight up and not in this instance, but I would rather Io just be like me, you versus the title. What's the next pay-per-view at Payback after SummerSlam, and I'm gonna beat you, and it's that simple. And she beats her. Is that you get it? Because I want to see the Io Asuka match. You know what I'm saying? I want to see it, but I also can see. I'm looking at it from a WWE booking standpoint, where I can see them just being like, "Let's get Charlotte to 16 real quick while we do this, and then Io, you go get your moment."
Yeah, I think that's what's gonna happen, Andrew.
Yeah. So what do you think, Kris?
I think Asuka's gonna win. Well, I gotta say this though. That was probably the funniest segment of the year was when Io handcuffed those chicks to the fucking ladder. I couldn't stop laughing at that. I thought it was so funny, and it's like, why hasn't someone thought about doing that before? It was one of those kind of.
She's a genius, Kris. She's a genius.
I loved it. But I do think Asuka gets a win, and maybe the next night on Raw they do something. I think it would be nice if Asuka gets a clean pay-per-view win, and then them, then doing the cash-in thing. But they're gonna do what they want to do. But I'm just gonna predict Asuka winning.
Okay.
Ray.
I'm gonna take the best of both worlds from what Nate and Kris said. I think Asuka's gonna win, and I think Io's gonna cash it in. Okay. I think, and of course, there's a story you can do there with Io and Asuka, and I don't know, man. I think they really need to get the ball rolling as far as fully turning Bianca as well.
Man, bro, I'm so ready for heel Bianca, bro. It's just time.
And of course. I see how people are going to say,
the question though, I was going to say, tying back to Chris's thoughts earlier about Rhea, though, will she really be a heel? Will she be a heel in name only? Because people still going to cheer Bianca Belair.
Yeah. And
ain't nobody trying to boo Bianca on these streets, Ray. I mean, maybe in Arkansas.
But hey, Nate, Puerto Rico was acting a little funny.
I think
they really were acting a little funny.
Bianca's every once in a while she's gonna get in front of a rambunctious audience that doesn't want to cheer for her.
Mm-hmm.
I think the thing with Bianca, the reason why they don't turn her heel is there's not too many women on that roster that is as media savvy as her.
She's money.
That could do the talk show circuit, that could do the Breakfast Club, that could do Ebro in the morning, that could do Tamron Hall, that could do all this.
Let's say, and Kris got the little kids swinging the
got the kids, yeah, like it's
the
like that is like
out.
Yeah, like
yep, that was cool.
like you are taking a big risk if you turn her heel. I'm not against it. I'm just saying that
the heels can't sell DoorDash subscriptions, right?
Now, Kris looking at it from a business standpoint. I definitely get that.
Yeah,
I think you could still give her a bit of an edge, though. Like, you don't have to turn her heel, but even like when she was in NXT and she was just going by, like even that just.
I think she's always had a bit of an edge, though, right? Yeah. Like she's just her. Like that's naturally Bianca, and I think you can lean more into that without I'm a heel now.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. That's true. So yeah, I got
she can come out and say you're a black belt. Well,
I was just thinking that.
Shout out to the sister Brandy Rose.
Next thing, man. Next thing. Shout out to Brandy. Shout out to Brandy, man. Shout out to Brandy. Hey, Brandy. Hey, you still welcome on the podcast.
Yeah, still, you got an open invitation to the NWA podcast.
Open invitation. Hey, she did an interview recently, and she said that her and it was just an interesting comment that she made. She said her and Cody came from a sticky and weird situation to the main event of WrestleMania, and I was like, she ain't add on to nothing. No, she just made that comment. And then she let
you know what? I'm workshopping this idea about Brandy on the NWA podcast. I think what we would need to do, we need to clear it through John and Way, Andrew, because we know our sister Brandy. You know she likes the wine and whatnot. You know that's part of her brand. 1 week, like one Sunday, we need to do a show like not at 8 at night, but like 9, 10 in the morning. We do like brunch, and Brandy and Kris, like you and me would just
Brandy.
You and me would just clear out, and Brandy and Kris would just drink mimosas and talk about wrestling and race and everything they want to.
I'm with it. I'm with it. Kris, just let me get like 4 or 5 questions in. We straight. Let me get questions in. But before we get to the main event, this one hasn't been made official, but I think we all pretty much assume it's official. Logan Paul versus Ricochet. And on this match, I actually think them botching at Money in the Bank helped them because I really wasn't big on the whole idea of, oh man, we did a cool move at Money in the Bank, so let's wrestle. They messed that move up, and it looked like Ricochet sort of like just was like, hey, bro, we already halfway, so we going. Well, whether you like it or not, we going.
Yeah.
And I like that sort of edge that they got to it because Logan Paul went on his podcast. He was in character, of course, but he called Ricochet unprofessional, and I was like. It just gives it a little something more opposed to like, hey man, we just did these 2 cool moves and I like your moves and you like my moves and we can go wrestle. It's like, motherfucker, I think you want professional, and Ricochet was like, well, I'm kind of more professional than you are, like kind of every sense, and like it just adds a little bit more seriousness to it outside of just the generic shit. So I think that see this is the thing. I think they're gonna put Logan over Ricochet.
Hell yeah. Yeah,
I think they're gonna put Logan over Ricochet.
Yeah, it's like all you have to do, Andrew, is look at who does the company value more.
They definitely value
Logan Paul.
They value Logan Paul more.
Easily.
And he's got
I still think he's winning the world title before the year's
up. I do too.
I never wavered from that.
I'm not gonna say this year, but I definitely agree. He's winning that fucking belt, and I wouldn't be surprised if he won it himself. I wouldn't be surprised if that's we mentioned that surgery. I would not be surprised if that's the last match that he has before he takes time off. I really would.
And get that win back from WrestleMania. That makes sense.
Damn, you know how depressing that would be for Cody Devontae Rhodes. You just watching this man Logan Paul.
Logan finish the story.
Did I tell you guys what happened at one of the school districts that I work at? So I had to drive 90 minutes to my job. because they were having there was a meeting about the Prime energy drink being sold on campus because it's got like all these like caffeine in it, like this ridiculous amount of caffeine in it, and it's not good for people, right? So I drove all the way to my job, and then they ban the Prime drink. They say, okay, we're not selling this on campus anymore. And then when I get home, I turn on the news, and then it said they're pulling Prime drinks off the shelf in California. So it was like I drove all the way to my job for no fucking reason. So for them to ban the drink only for the governor to say, oh yeah, we're not selling that shit in this state anymore.
So what we saying now is Kris got beef with Omos. Kris got beef with Kenny King and with Logan Paul.
Logan Paul. No, I ain't got no beef with Kenny King. That's game recognizing game, man. The Logan Paul beef is real though.
On site. Bring KSI with you.
And Ray, what you think? You think that Logan Paul going over Ricochet?
I think so as well, because like you guys are referencing, he needs to get that win back. Like he needs to get up on the upswing soon, because you already he lost against Roman, he lost against Seth, he lost the Money in the Bank. So it's like you got to get him back up, especially with the limited time that you have him. Like you got to get him back on the upswing some way. And aside from that move at Money in the Bank, Ricochet is going to shine him up real nice. So
Ricochet definitely going to make him look good. Ricochet going to make him look good. And I think that they should reward Ricochet for that. I'm not saying that you should reward somebody, like, what I'm saying, just doing your fucking job. But like, if you going out of your way to make this dude
an outsider,
not going to be, what I'm saying, make him look as good as possible, then I think that there should be like, what I'm saying, give him, bro, Austin Theory, that shit is cooked. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That shit is done.
We've been saying, and the funny thing is, we've been on this show saying that when he won the title, we were saying that. We've been talking about Theory's whackness for the last year.
Hey, you know what? So look, I gotta walk back, but I gotta give Kris his props, Nate. Because look, there was a point, Nate. There was a point when I was not as I wasn't on the Theory train, but I wasn't as critical as Kris was. But Kris saw the vision, and where we at right now, that man is cooked. It is time. Somebody need to go get the fucking janitor out of the venue and have him take the title off of fucking Austin Theory. Somebody need to take the title off this. It is done, bro. It's done.
Yeah,
like done.
I think a guy like Theory needed time being a corny babyface and then being a heel to kind of fix his trajectory. Now he's already been a horrible heel, and you can't really turn him face. They got to do something with that guy because.
Hey, Kris, do you think it's just a matter of like him being a belt? You just think people just don't give a shit at this point? Like,
I just think people. I mean, John Cena didn't do that dude any favors. John Cena, that promo that he cut before WrestleMania, he said to this guy, "If I beat you at WrestleMania, it doesn't matter. If you beat me at WrestleMania." It really doesn't matter.
Nope. Yeah. Tell me when I'm telling lies.
What he said, he's like, I beat you at Mania, you lose everything. You beat me at Mania, you gain nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly what's happened.
That's what I'm saying, bro. It's like really sad that like that's like the actual situation.
And the thing is, in Cena's defense, why should he have believed in Austin Theory? They haven't given us.
Hey, Kris, you wanna know what's funny? Just add on to your point real quick. So when Cena did an interview, like going into Mania, and he was like, they asked him how that match got set up. This man Cena said, "Well, they called me and they asked me to work with him." So
yeah, exactly. And I've heard him in interviews reiterate, I meant everything I said on TV about Austin Theory. Like, he's not even trying to walk it back or
I was just picking up a check, dog. Company gas.
That is John Cena's most forgettable WrestleMania match of all time.
Yes.
it does not matter.
And it just happened, and we've already forgotten about it.
And it just happened. You already forgot about it. Austin Theory isn't even the best wrestler from his city. That's Cody Rhodes. You know what I'm saying?
Yo.
It's like Austin Theory.
Yeah, if we ranking Georgia wrestlers in the WWE, like he's at best he's third after Cody and AJ. At best,
right?
Oh yeah.
At best, he's not even. I wouldn't even if we're talking Georgia wrestlers.
Jonathan Gresham from Georgia.
No, I'm talking about in the WWE.
In the WWE. If you're talking WWE wrestlers past and present, he's behind Ron Simmons. If you're
hell yeah,
he's from Georgia.
He's not even on the medal stand.
Yeah, he is the guy is
and I think this might be the first time Andrew shows that man Ray Traylor some love. He's behind the big boss man in terms of all-time WWE wrestlers from Georgia.
Yeah,
big boss man.
He's like Austin Theory is. They set that guy up for failure.
Yes,
a lot of this
from the McMahon stuff.
Yeah, it's not his fault. A lot of it, but he's just like the bloom is way off the rose. I mean, you can put the belt on him if you want to. The guy's not over. You know what I'm saying? LA Knight, you haven't even done anything with this guy, and he's gotten over. You know, you didn't even LA Knight got over. You did the stupidest gimmick with him that I've probably seen in decades.
You wasn't down with Maximum Male Models, Kris?
I had hopes for it, but I just saw that it wasn't going to go anywhere. You know, like LA Knight.
But that's the thing, Kris. They didn't even see him as a full-time wrestler. They saw him as a manager because he's too old.
Yeah, that guy's a survivor. Shout out to Destiny. But yeah, LA not Austin Theory, man. They really got to go back to the drawing board with him.
Hey, I'm about to say, Kris, I don't even think they got to go back to the drawing. I think they about to replace him with Grayson Waller.
Ooh.
Yeah, Grayson Waller is what they wanted Austin Theory to be.
So to use another Destiny Child song, or Beyonce song, they're gonna tell Austin Theory to the left, to the left.
Well, like what is Austin Theory the best at in WWE? Nothing. He wasn't even the best selfie person in WWE. That was Tyler Breeze.
Damn.
Like so what did he excel in? He wasn't the best Vince McMahon guy. That was either like Drew McIntyre. I'd probably give it to Elijah Burke over him.
Damn.
He's like, again, man, this
he's boring, bro.
Even on commentary, he's like, eh.
You don't need to put him on commentary. He just sit there. And on the side, he only get the headset.
And that's, but that's the thing too. It's like,
we're not even gonna plug this in, dog. That's just wasting electricity.
That's like when your little cousins come over and they want to play the game. You get the controller. That's not
plugged in, right?
Yeah, the unplugged controller and stuff.
But that's the thing too. Is like with his feud against John Cena, is like your best retort is like, well, I don't care what people think about me. I was like, brother, that's not a good way. That's not a good way to combat against us. And Lois the Keys, Cena be shredding people, like how he was. He shredded AJ, how he was shredding Roman Reigns.
But the thing is AJ Styles and Roman Reigns will be all right in spite of that.
Yeah, they did. They was good.
Like I think with at the very least, they should have asked John Cena, like, look, we believe in this kid.
Can you help us out? Do us a solid.
Don't dress him down in such a horrible way. You don't have to
easy on the kid, brother.
Yeah, you don't have to compliment him, but don't make him look like a total fucking dweeb. Can you at least do that for us? You know?
Cena thought he was back in there with The Rock. He was bringing his A game.
They probably asked him to do that. And he was like, nah, if you want me to come back and wrestle this guy, I'm going to talk shit about him. And that's the end of the story.
I actually remember an interview Theory did, and he said that before the segment with Cena that they want to be talking about, he said Miz and Baron Corbin had told him, they about to throw you in the fire, bro. He was like, he's like, shit about to get real when you go out there. He was like, but see, the thing is, like, even with what we were just talking about, like Grayson Waller got put in that same situation at Money in the Bank, and he didn't come off like less than. He seemed like he was like, I mean, he was still the guy that, that took the attitude adjustment, for the crowd. Yeah. But he didn't feel like less. He felt like, okay, this is a guy who
he's got some potential.
In this particular situation, too big for his bridges. But at the end of the day, he still held his own. And even when he was in the ring with Edge, in that segment with Edge, he didn't come off as less than. And I feel like Grayson Waller, like again, what y'all just said, he is
the best thing that could have happened. The best thing that could have happened to Austin Theory was Cena beating him at WrestleMania, because then he might be able to get a sympathy from people. Him beating John Cena did absolutely nothing for him.
Nope.
And now he cooked, and now we just waiting on LA Knight to take the title off him. Yep. So the last one here before we close the podcast.
Main event: Ronda Rousey, Shayna Baszler.
We up here at 3 hours.
I do have to, on this episode, before we leave, we got to talk about fucking Starks for a second. Talk about this, we got to.
Chris said we got to.
I'm about to say, how long could we go, niggas? We at 3:13 right now, bro.
Let's finish up SummerSlam, then let's hit Starks.
Let's just go around real quick. So we got Roman versus Jey Uso for the championship. Undisputed WWE Universal Championship. Roman's winning this fucking match.
Yeah, Roman is winning the belt. Although I will say, Jey Uso might have clinched his nomination for TV Emmy for his performance over the past year.
I'm saying Jey Uso.
What?
Because that's what I want to happen. I'm going to say that.
I'm in the same boat. I want Jey Uso to win. I know Roman's gonna win, but I want Jey to win.
All right, so we already got that unanimous. Go ahead, Chris. Let's get into the restart. What you got to say?
Okay, so I have to say this about TNA. I watched Collision last night. Shout out to Kate and John Cena.
Yep. Collision Course every Saturday night here on Post Wrestling.
Right. I think they're misreading the room with Ricky Starks. Starks is a babyface. They need to go that route with him. I think turning him into a heel is a retrogressive move, especially with all the goodwill he's garnered over the last year. And again, it goes back to my thing with baby faces. It's like you don't often get people that the fans just naturally cheer. And when you get that, I do think you have an obligation to take advantage of that. And it just seems like for some reason they want Starks as a heel, and that just doesn't make a lot of sense to me at the moment.
No, I definitely agree with that point about Ricky. Like I think the thing with Ricky is Ricky has like that. He's always had this natural chemistry. I mean, not natural chemistry, but natural like charisma. That's the word I'm looking for. Natural charisma to him. He's always been like that, like the cool guy in the room. You know what I'm saying? He always appeared like that on television. Honestly, I think that I do think that Ricky's a heel, Chris. I mean, a baby face. Like I think that he's a natural baby face. But see, I think with the heel thing, Ricky is so good on the mic that he can easily outshine the next individual or one up the next individual that is standing across the ring from him. And I think that at times that can be perceived as cockiness in a wrestling aspect. And I think that in this particular circumstance, I think that we might have a situation similar to what we was talking about with Rhea Ripley, Chris, like where Ricky is heel, but I don't think the crowd is going to boo Ricky. I think that because he can speak with the sort of like the way that he speaks, and you know what I'm saying, like how he gets into all his like mannerisms and all that stuff. The crowd, they love that stuff. They love that about Ricky when he's all flashy and mentioning the Prada shoes and the Gucci bags and the Louis bags and all that stuff. Like even though that's heel characteristics, these crowds, they gravitate towards that stuff, and I think they're going to enjoy Ricky. But I definitely think that Ricky is a baby face, but I think that AEW might be taking the approach of, instead of just trying to make him this like white meat or just like the cool guy, they're gonna make him like I'm not a bad guy, but I'm just doing what's best for me type of character, and I think that the crowd is going to naturally gravitate, because I think if you do segments like you did this past Saturday at Collision where Ricky come in the ring and he like, you know what I'm saying, got all this this fly clothes on and talking about the designer and all that type of stuff. I think that the way that he does it, he presents it in a way where he's just like, it's not like I'm better than you, it's just like I just think I'm cool as shit. You know what I'm saying? And people enjoy seeing that, and I think that's going to play off well as Ricky continues to go on AEW television. I think that him sort of having that sort of this additional edge, I think it's going to benefit him in the long run. But I do agree 100% that he is a baby face in like layman's terms, I guess. If you look at it just in a short way, Ricky Starks is a baby face. But I think that him having layers to his overall presentation and him having that sort of edge and the cockiness and all that stuff, when you add that on, it's going to only uplift Ricky, and then he'll be able to catapult himself to where we see him as a future world champion. So that's what I think about Ricky Starks.
Yeah, I think with Ricky Starks, like, you know, you mentioned Rhea Ripley, but I would say also some comparisons I would throw out there in terms of being a baby face with an edge / cocky heel. You know, we've got one right now in the WWE in LA Knight. He's kind of walking that line. Yeah. I think, you know, if you want to go back historically, and this is somebody who I brought up, I think on one of the first episodes of the NWA podcast, when, you know, we were first looking at Ricky Starks in AEW, like, if they position this guy right and promote this guy properly, you know, you could have your own little mini version of The Rock in AEW with the way Ricky can work in the ring, but also talk and just that natural charisma you're talking about, Andrew. But I also think when AEW, it's always weird with AEW because their fan base, like, shout out to the AEW fans, but it's a weird mix of, you got these hardcore fans, you got these fans that know they know Ricky's story. They know like the injuries he's had to overcome, what he's had to do to get to this point. So they generally like Ricky. But it's like there's also this element of the AEW fan base that feels kind of like old school wrestling. That kind of like we want, like, or not we, you know, because I'm a TNA fan tonight. But the AEW fans, like, they want to be like told these stories of you know, the good guys and the bad guys, and sometimes the good guys got to be bad to beat the bad guys. And so I think with Ricky, it all depends upon how you tell the story. You know what I mean? Like, we got to let it play out. Unfortunately, Kris, I feel like, you know, to me, this could be a good thing for Ricky in the long run, as Andrew's saying, but it just depends on how they branch out. Like, is he going to be like the chicken shit heel? Is he going to be the cowardly heel? Because if that's what it's going to be, I don't think that fits with the Ricky Starks persona.
But and Ricky Starks, even in the, I was about to say real quick, because even on the segment that he was in with Punk, but they was choosing Ricky. They chose Ricky.
Yeah,
you know, like they chose Ricky.
Yeah, like, I think Ricky Starks could be that wrestler that WWE let slip through the cracks and went to AEW and became way better than he was supposed to be, you know. But I think that Tony Khan's gotta treat him like he matters, and because I just didn't like what I saw last night, where they made a tag team match, teaming him with the dinosaur dude, and then
him
and Christian.
Teaming him with Christian.
They beat Punk and Darby.
Yeah. I thought that was kind of like, I don't know what that does for Ricky, you know, and that's kind of like, and for me, I feel like
Ricky should be a level above Luchasaurus.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and for me, that's like the problem. It's like they didn't do anything to make Ricky Starks a guy that the fans like. That was Ricky Starks when he got into that ring and he cut that promo against MJF, and all the other guys who try to mess with MJF can't really cut promos against them. Ricky Starks owned that fool, and he made it look easy. He dressed that fool down so much to where it's like stuff that, like, real issues with MJF, Ricky Starks brought to life, but it wasn't in a self-serving way. It was in a way saying that I'm better than you, you know, in a babyface way. And I just think that anytime you get a babyface that gets that kind of reaction, you are not doing any favors by not taking advantage of it. But I'm hoping that you, Andrew, and Nate, I hope that you're right. I hope that there's a grand scheme to this all, because WWE did a similar thing with The Rock when The Rock was all the fans got behind him, and then they turned him into a bad guy again at Survivor Series. But they still had Stone Cold Steve Austin to be the number one face, you know what I'm saying? So
it's real quick on your Twan Max said that's the biggest problem with today's wrestling book is they have no idea how to make a face. Way too many cool heels. Days of Ricky Steamboat are long gone. That's fact.
Yeah.
And then the only example we got of that, I mean, I say one of the only example, shining example, I should say, in AEW, that is Willow Nightingale. Like, she's like a white meat, pure, ain't nothing bad about her. She's a good guy.
And that's what I was going to say. It's like, not all baby faces have to be made or are made equal. Like, they don't always, because like we were saying before with Willow Nightingale, that's just her personality. And with Ricky Starks, it's his personality to be charismatic and to go barb for barb. And I love, you hit it right on the head, Kris. Is like when he was going after MJF, it was like, MJF, everyone's making MJF. He's saying himself. He's the devil. You know, he can get into like your finest detail or your finest weakness, and he can nag on that, and he could just cut you to pieces. But then when he gets into the ring, or when he goes mic for mic with Ricky Starks torches him like it's nothing. And it's like you have that side of Ricky Starks, but then you also have the side of Ricky Starks where he can be. When we saw with his feud against, where he saw in his
Powerhouse
Hobbs, well, he can get the crowd on his side. He could be like a Ricky Morton, where he can get the crowd on his side. Exactly, and he could be that underdog who goes out there and gives it his all, and he doesn't have to pander to the crowd. So I think like eventually in due time, but of course, and I think you all will agree with me, the thing that threw him off was that feud with Jericho. And I think they were just like after that, like seemingly never ending feud, it's like, what do you do with them? And then you had them going.
It makes no sense to me too. The feud with Jericho, I 100% agree with you. It just wasn't hitting at all. But they're trying to turn MJF into a babyface with this goofy shit that he's doing with Adam Cole, and you know where that's gonna.
That motherfucker ain't about to be no babyface.
You know where this is going.
We know what the game is, TK.
Yeah, we know where this is going.
You can't play a player, baby.
Yeah,
you can't hustle.
Ricky Starks was just somebody that's there lying in wait. You know, like what are we doing? Is just my question.
I will say this though. I do think Ricky has been very well featured on Collision. Like he's he's definitely one of their main players on.
He's
Collision.
like the co-star of Collision.
He like, bro. He is like since day one of Collision, he is like one of their main talents on that show. Like they feature him because he just won the Owen Hart Foundation tournament. I don't necessarily know what that is. I mean, it's a prestige honor, but like,
and shout out to him for not turning on the fans last night when they were cheering for him, you know, because I was afraid he was going to pull like, you guys don't get to cheer me crap, you know. I was afraid of that, and he didn't, you know what I'm saying? He kind of went with the cheers, and I don't think he was even expecting that, you know. Like,
Ricky, he gets cheered on a consistent basis. Like people like Ricky, and that's why I don't think it's an issue for him to sort of lean into like those some of those characteristics that people may deem as a heel, because I think that people just like Ricky because they think he's cool. You know what I'm saying? They like Ricky Stark. So I think that if you just continue to sort of,
it just depends on how TK does it in terms of the book.
You just got to tread those waters in a careful way to not lean into either side. I honestly think that Ricky works best as a tweener. I think that he is that's his best self as a wrestler when he's in. Like if you see, even when he was on NWA Power, that was kind of like he was more so of a heel. But like you could sense the crowd enjoying him because he can. Ricky can convince you with his words to believe in what you know what I'm saying, get you to believe in the shit that he's saying.
He's like, I'm a heel, but I ain't no monster.
That motherfucker's like a used car salesman. He can sit motherfucker sell a blind man some glasses. I'm telling you, like, it's just, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think that Ricky is like very, like, the in-ring stuff, Ricky can carry himself in the ring. But I think that the thing that sets him apart from a lot of different individuals is his ability to go toe-for-toe with a variety of different individuals on the mic, but also not even just the toe-for-toe stuff, but to be able to tell a story on the microphone within like 6 minutes, 5 minutes, and to get his point across and not to be jibbering jabbering the whole way through. Like, he make his point, ABC, connect all the dots, wrap it around. This is what I want. This is what I'm going for. And let's send this shit home. And I'm out. And then the crowd's like, go Ricky. You know what I'm saying? Like they like this dude. So that's why I don't think it's an issue for him to lean into it. Like, I mean, again, you've seen him do the white meat babyface thing with Jericho. Didn't necessarily go work.
I blame Jericho
like as well.
Yeah,
I mean, you can blame. It was a long thing, but like, I think that when you exhaust the option like that, it's time to go to the next thing, and the next thing is to play the tweener role where he can be a heel, he can be a baby face, and try the shit. Because if you don't try, how the fuck you gonna know if it's gonna work?
Right?
Yeah, I agree.
Well, you know what we did, Andrew, on this episode of the NWA podcast, we broke down the points for the people. A, B, C.
We broke the record for the time too.
We connected them all. We brought it back around. Hey, we gave you this supersized show in July. We made it hot for the people. We talked a little political issues. You know, we ran the gamut here on the NWA podcast. And of course, I think this is a historical episode, not just in length, but in the fact that I think this is the longest we've talked about Impact Wrestling on this show. So salute to Impact. You know, we here for you, man.
Come on the podcast, Trinity.
Trinity, you got to invite Leo, Kenny King,
Giselle. On the podcast. The podcast.
All of y'all.
Scott D'Amore. Johnny Swinger. The Swing Man, Johnny Swinger.
But yeah, this has been a good episode, man. We glad for everybody to rock with us tonight. We had a lot of activity in the comments. Appreciate the super chats as always. Let's go around the horn one time and let people know where everybody can be found. Let's start with a brother who is the newest recruit to the Kings of Sport podcast, playing on this 10-day contract right now, Andrew. But the way this man performing, Andrew,
Ray on this 10-day contract with Post.
The way he performing, he might get signed to the league minimum. He might be league minimum Ray coming up here pretty soon. His brother's earning his keep.
G League
Ray in the building. Summer League MVP Ray Williams. Ray. Yeah. But yeah, Ray, just to throw out another tease, like Ray is down with the Kings, and he may have an announcement in the next couple of months about a project that we're working on, a side project with the Kings of Sport. But before we talk about any of that in the coming months, Ray Williams, let the people know where they can find you. Anything else you want to promote, my brother? It has been a pleasure having you on the show tonight, man.
Well, it's always a pleasure to get in a chat with you guys, Nate and Kris. Nate and Kris, and of course, like I said before, I'm just completely honored to get to chat it up with you, Andrew. My handle,
my honor too, brother.
I appreciate that, man. We DMV brothers got to stick together, But,
where you from? You from DC, right?
Yeah, I'm from. I'm currently staying in College Park, Maryland, near UMB.
Right?
Okay. So we got the full. Hold on. Let's bring it back to the. Let's bring it back to the full shot.
I was gonna say, Nate, you from?
So we got the DMV. We got DC with Andrew. We got Maryland with Ray. We got
kick Kris out.
Virginia, right? Kris.
I used to live in Harrisonburg and Virginia.
Kris,
I remember
brother.
I remember those Eastern Motors commercials.
Hey, Eastern Motors, your job is your credit, Kris, but you might not have a job on the NWA podcast for too much longer because I see a barbershop window behind you, my brother. You know what I'm saying? I hate to do it, man. Thumbs up, thumbs down. You out of evolution, brother. Shout out to that man Ray Williams. Follow him on Twitter and check him out on the Kings of Sport podcast. Speaking of the Kings of Sport, let's go to Kris because we ain't gonna throw Kris out the window. We ain't gonna kick Kris at the club. He might just have to stand outside with me, Andrew, and Ray is in the VIP section. He out there with the common folk.
Hey, Kris, you want a bottle, Kris?
Kris, let's send the bottle over to Kris. He look a little thirsty.
Right.
But Kris, you told people off the top of the show, about the book and about, the good things going on in your life. Let people know where else they can find you, what you got going on with WrestleNomics and our light-skinned cousin Brandon Thurston here at Post Wrestling. Just promote your stuff, brother.
Yeah. So you could check me out on Twitter at KMEasyDoesIt. That's my handle on Twitter. You can read my wrestling articles at WrestleNomics.com. You can read my political articles at Kris Ealy, KRISEALY.medium.com. And look for the book next year. Just support us on Kings of Sport this year, because we're trying to grow that platform. So the more listeners we get, the better.
This man, Kris Ealy, Andrew Thompson, he's not a businessman. He's a businessman. Nephew.
Hey, where is that from? You want to know who I heard say that recently?
Who?
EC3.
Oh, damn it, EC3.
His thing was, I'm not an over man. I'm over man. It's some shit like that.
Boo.
Yeah.
Boo this man.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Real quick, Andrew, before I let you promote what you got, man. EC3 might be one of the biggest disappointments from my Impact fandom, because that dude, him and Rockstar Spud, like they had it in Impact.
Hey, he's still with WWE though.
Rockstar Spud,
He a creator.
Yep,
he a creator.
But as soon as he went back to WWE and then started controlling his narrative, I'm like, this dude is cooked.
So
it's over.
Once Braun Strowman left that joint, that's when the money ran dry. It was over after that. The motherfucking meal ticket left. It was over after that. That shit was done.
That's
the person you gotta put on the milk carton. Where Braun Strowman?
It be like that sometimes, EC3. But Andrew Thompson, unlike EC3, you somebody out here who is actually over on these streets. Let the people know.
That's what the people say.
That's what the people say. The people say Andrew Thompson is over. He the Ricky Starks of journalism on these streets. Let people know what you got going on and where they can find you, my brother.
As soon as you said that, I was about to attempt to do the little Ricky pose, but see,
the little Ricky pose.
That's called self-composure. That's what you do when you don't want to embarrass yourself. Self-composure right there, man. But they can follow me on Twitter and Instagram, @ADThompson__. Check out my written work over at postwrestling.com. YouTube channel, Andrew Thompson Interviews. I actually got a new interview lined up with a brother from the UK, man. We did some big things recently. Did some big things. I'm pretty sure people that know you put two and two together. You did some big things recently, man. But me and him gonna catch up and do an interview real soon. So I'm looking forward to recording that whenever we get to chat, probably this week, into this week. But yeah, man, that's all I got right now. And support my guys named Kris and Ray over at Kings of Sport. And you know what I'm saying? Maybe you see the guy around, man.
Uh-oh.
Maybe I'll be lurking around at the Kings of Sport headquarters trying to get in. With my green folder job application, like what's going on?
Andrew gonna be the hot signer. He gonna be our Brian Pillman Jr.
I'm gonna be the fresh new. I'm gonna be my all Kings of Sport graphic.
Yeah. I was gonna say, Conrad Thompson, you know how to reach us, man.
Telephones work two ways, Conrad.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, man. We got a lot to promote, man. I got a lot to promote, but I'll try to keep it short because we already been on these microphones for 3.5 hours, man. We giving you a supersized show.
I know Wade Team looking at us like,
yeah, man. Wait till. Man, look here. I bet you, and I, shout out to John Pollock and Wade Team, the proprietors of Post Wrestling. We love those brothers for hooking us up with the platform, man. Those are good dudes, two of the best dudes in this space, man. We appreciate them.
Right,
but I got to know,
butter them up.
I know we like the black sheep of all the podcasts, and pun definitely intended. We like the black sheep of Post Wrestling because every Monday morning, Wade looks at the file. He's like, y'all eating up all the damn space, man. Y'all eating up. How y'all only do one show a month and you account for half of the space we use on the server. The hell? So we apologize, Wade. It's our bad, brother. Our bad.
Shout out to brother Ting, man. Brother Ting. Shout out to Wade, man.
Shout out to Pollock and Ting and everybody here at Post Wrestling, man. This has been a good month for programming here at Post Wrestling. In addition to Collision Course with John Cena and Kate from Montreal that Kris mentioned. We also had a lot of great G1 coverage that's going on right now on the Post Wrestling site. You got MCU later with Rich Fan at WH Park talking about that secret invasion with Nick Fury. So it's a lot going on at Post Wrestling, man. It's more than just wrestling. It's a lot of stuff, man, that you need to be tapped into. So a way to get more tapped in is to subscribe, man. Be a subscriber, be a Patreon supporter of Post Wrestling. And while you on Patreon, Andrew, you can cross that street from the post office and come to the throne room and sign up for the Kings of Sport Patreon. $5 gets you in the door. If you want to pay more, we won't stop you. Like Kris said, man, this year, it's our 10th anniversary year at the Kings of Sports, so we are trying to do more things with the program, with the platform, man. And one of those things is bringing in new voices like Ray. And there's a couple other people we talked to. We want to bring in some new voices, man, and you know, get this thing, you know, even bigger than it is. You know, we built a good foundation with me and Marcus for 10 years, and Kris joined the fold. And so, you know, we just want to keep having these conversations because there's a lot of sports shows in particular that don't want to have these conversations. And so we want to empower as many voices as we can. So, you know, if you want to support the Kings of Sport, the Patreon is the easiest way to do that. $5. Everybody got $5, man. Right now, look here, Ray Williams is on a 10-day contract, and he got $5 for the Kings. So, support.
I would say the $5 plug is hilarious.
You know what I'm saying? Ray Williams out here on these streets, you know, he eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches because he on that 10-day contract. He still got $5 to throw down on the table for the Kings. So support your guys, man. We do appreciate it. But yeah, I'm on a lot of shows. I ain't gonna list them all, but for all the shows, follow me on Twitter at N.W.A MOZIAIK, and I'm on Threads. I don't really be doing a whole lot on Threads, but BLAQUE_N8 is where you can find me on Threads. If that pops off like it claims to be popping off, I'm over there. But for everything else, man, just follow all of us. Follow our peoples in this space, man. We talked about True Hill Heat. You know, we talked about Phil Lindsay, Righteous Reg, those cats, man. Like, it's a lot of good brothers out here and sisters doing work on these microphones. So support it, man. And listen, like, even if you have a different opinion, just listen, because you might learn something and you might have a different perspective. Don't be like Rick Steiner on these streets, ladies and gentlemen.
There you go.
So that's going to bring an end to this edition of the NWA Podcast presented by Post Wrestling. For the rookie, 10-day Ray Williams. For my nephew, the youngest.
Wait, I was going to say, my man on that Kings of Sport 10-day. I'm telling you, you get peanut butter sandwiches, you get boarding room for 2 nights.
Right. You get 3 hots in a cot, Ray. That's all you're going to get, player. And technically it ain't even hot because it's just peanut butter and jelly and some Doritos, dog. Like if you play really good, you might get some sour cream and onion chips, Ray.
But it's worth it in the end.
It's worth it, Ray. It's part of the process, brother. You know, we're not gonna put you in a situation like Austin Theory where don't nobody care about you. We're gonna promote you properly, brother. You're gonna be Grayson Waller on these streets.
I'll earn my keep, baby. I earn my keep.
Talk to him, Ray.
But yeah, so shout out to 10-day Ray for joining us his first time on the Post Wrestling Podcast. Check him out if you want to hear more from this brother. Shout out to the nephew, the youngest in charge, Andrew Thompson. Make sure you subscribe to Andrew Thompson Interviews on the YouTube so you can catch all his brother's latest work. Shout out to the Professor Kris Ealy. Again, WrestleNomics is where you can find this man. And keep your eyes and ears open for that book that's gonna drop. Okay, Kris, let me ask you this while we got you here, Kris. So if you do the audio book, can I be one of the people that read on the audio book?
Oh yeah, sure. Because I don't even the fact I'm going through an independent publisher now, I have to pay for the recording time for an audio book.
Okay, I cut you a good deal.
Yeah, so we gotta figure that out. But the publisher said we're working on all that stuff, so we'll see. How that works. Yeah.
I'm happy, like, because Kris has been talking about this for a minute, so I'm happy it's getting close to becoming a reality. And again, we appreciate everybody for watching and listening live. Watching and listening to this in the future, we appreciate you as well. Woo! So that was a long episode, but we had a good time, and we will see you in August. Yeah, sorry, Way. We'll see you. Way go put us on probation. He gonna put us on the time limit.
Way about to send us on trouble, but he about to be like, your ass is done.
He's sending us to developmental. Every episode gonna start. This episode is scheduled for one fall with a 30-minute time limit.
We can break it down into 2 parts or something, you know.
I mean,
but like when our listeners listen to us when they're doing their long ass drives to work, when they're cleaning up in the house, you know.
That's true. So that's true. Though.
They have us for a month, and they spread us out. They listen to the whole thing too. I know this for a fact.
You know,
yeah.
So yeah, like
send us home, Nate.
You know, if you can listen to it all at one time, hey, don't worry about it. We understand. Just listen when you can. We appreciate you. This is what we do every month here on Post Wrestling. So stay tuned. If this is your first time listening, we'll be back next month with an all-new edition of the NWA Podcast. So for Kris, for Andrew, for our guest Ray Williams, I am the Godfather Nate Milton. And remember, the revolution may not be televised, but it damn sure will be podcasted. See y'all next month.
Yo, it's Righteous Reg. It's a case for the safe, keep a space for the Nubians. Unfiltered, off-kilter, the professor, the godfather, host wrestling the NWA, not keep guessing, The views and expressions, you know the rest, it's pod excellence, get the message. Advocates for Nubian wrestling, you're listening to the best again. Black wrestling in the ring we invested in. Nubian kings and queens we invested in. It's for the culture and we reppin' it. It's for the culture and we reppin' it.